Catherine Sylvester, welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thank you for coming.
Pleasure.
You made a bit of a trip. Where'd you come from today?
I did. I came from Papamoa.
Papamoa, which is where?
In the Bay of Plenty near Tauranga.
You're a Bob girl.
I am.
Are you from there originally?
No, my husband is. No, born in Christchurch, grew up in Auckland, then took off overseas for a really long time. Lived in a few places in New Zealand.
Yeah.
I've been around.
You've been around?
I've been around.
Where'd you go overseas?
LA, England, Australia, back to England.
Was that before or after your first stints on TV?
All of it before except for the last England stint. So I went to drama school in Sydney.
Right.
After I'd done LA and England and came home, wasn't really ready to be home. So went to Sydney and went to drama school there and then came back.
And then you got into the TV stuff over here?
Well, technically, no. I tried.
Yeah.
And I was a great waitress. And then I'd been, actually, that's pretty bold. I was probably a pretty crap waitress, but I was a waitress.
Yeah.
And I think I was just over traveling and being a student, not having any money. And I thought, I need a job for a while. What can I do? I can, hospitality. And so I applied for flying, and I was a flight attendant out of Wellington for a few years. And then came back back to Auckland, and then I got into TV stuff.
And Go Show was your big one, wasn't it? That was your longest, your first big break?
No, that was the last thing I did. Before that, I did heaps of ads, because I was just going to do acting. That's all that's what I trained. I want to be an actor and or an actress, whichever is feministically politically correct.
Just own whatever one you say, and we'll believe it.
I'm an actress-or.
Yeah.
And
an actress-or?
I'm an actress-or. It sounds like a dinosaur. I'm an actress-or.
I'm an actress-or. Yeah.
Really extinct actress-or. And so I did all the ads and all that. And I got a few ads, and that was great. And then my neighbour, who'd known me since I was 2, was like, "Hey, you should do presenting." And I'm like, "Great. Do you know anyone?" He's like, "No."
Thanks, bro.
Thanks, that was great. But it got me thinking, and I put together like a showreel of all my ads and bits and pieces on VHS and sent it out. And I sent it out to Juice TV, which was a music channel at the time, and they were hiring. And I ended up doing a show called Girl and Boy, which was in the afternoons, like the evening slot, music show. And after a while there, I got my VHS together again, and I sent it out to some production companies. Yeah. And one of them was Touchdown, and they auditioned me for a TV2 show that I've only ever met one person who's seen it, called Super Sellers, and not salads. Sellers, like we sell things. And I got that, and a little bit of Shortland Street, and then I did radio and a bit of time off. And then the Go Show. Then the Go Show.
How old were you when you did the Go Show? What age were you roughly? Oh, that's a very quick. As soon as I say it, I'm like, what?
Oh, no, it's fine. I remember my boss saying to me at the time, though, "It's good because you look younger." So I think I was 32. And
really?
Yeah, I was 32 when I started it. And
you would never have known, okay?
Thank you.
You're quite young.
Oh, thank you.
You're just one of the kids.
I was. Well, the other 2 were. they were in their 20s. They were young. And yeah, so I think I must have looked younger, and I got away with it, I think. I mean, there was never anything that you had to be young. No. But I think it was like, don't go publicising it, maybe.
Right.
Not in a bad way.
No,
it was
just
that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all smoke and mirrors, really. And as long as you can do the job and you do it well.
Oh, exactly.
It's fine.
Yeah. So, that was, and we finished that in the end of 2007. So we did something like 456 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot, eh? When you think about the factory that TV making is, like Shortland Street and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. And Saturday and Sunday, they'd compile stuff. So we filmed 5, we probably didn't film all of those, although we filmed the beginnings and endings of those. So we had, we would rehearse for 2 weeks. Well, we wouldn't, but we were supposed to. But there was a lot of, all the production stuff. Like you had to have the props and you had to have the music done. We had to practice our songs and all that. Yeah. And then we'd film for 2 weeks, 2 episodes a day, and then we'd go back to that.
Sweet.
Rehearsing, yeah.
Do you look back on that and you think to yourself, were you thinking, when did you have your first kids? Were you still working on the Go Show, or you'd finished?
No, and that was part of the reason when we finished. And I've written a couple of books on this. I'm really open about it. We had 3 miscarriages throughout the time I was doing the Go Show. Yeah. And so when we finished, I was just depleted and wanted time off. And we had 1 more miscarriage, and then we got pregnant at the beginning of the next year. Yeah. So I'd had a year where I was just kind of collecting myself. Yeah. And then we got pregnant with our. I've got 2 daughters, so we got pregnant with her then. Yeah.
So you had 3 miscarriages before, and then the 4th one.
Yep.
Stuck. for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's,
Oh, didn't you know that?
No.
Yes. And so I was the person that was really open about, I'm a bit of a, hey, let me tell you about something.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'd be really open to the point where someone picked me up once. I was speaking at an event and she's like, I knew her well enough. And she's like, oh, how are you? I'm like, well, we just had another miscarriage. And she was like, okay. Like just the pure discomfort.
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah.
okay. So we're going to go to the event now. And but the positive was, as I spoke about it, a lot of people would say to me, oh, we had one too, but I've never kind of told anyone.
Yeah.
People are way more open about it now, but this was 2006, 2007. And so through that, and like as a cathartic process, once we had our kids, I wrote a couple of books about it and collated other people's stories and put them into one of the books just to kind of start the conversation. It may have been happening somewhere, and for sure now people are way more open. It's spoken about a lot more. But at the time I couldn't find anything, and there wasn't any real support that I could find. It might have been out there. And I'm not saying I was the savior of support, but but I found as I shared it, other people could share it, and then you could compare the dumb things people said to you. And
So that's the thing. It just takes one person or one person who's open enough to be the catalyst for other people to come out and just start talking openly about things.
Yeah. And now there's Instagram, people just share everything. But this was before that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that was tough, and I just needed that time after, I think, to just kind of recoup and breathe a little bit.
Time after the show.
The Go Show,
Yeah. After having 3, sorry, I didn't know this. This is fascinating for me now. So after 3, was everyone after that, the 4th, was it very difficult to get excited by having a 4th child? You're always sort of like apprehensive about what's going to happen?
Oh, yeah. My whole first pregnancy was I was the most anxious pregnant woman in the world.
Yeah.
And she wasn't much of a mover.
No.
So, I mean, all our miscarriages had ended early. So once I got past that and everything, the doctors kept assuring me everything's fine, but I just couldn't shake that.
Yeah.
Is it really going to happen?
Yeah.
And with our second daughter, I was way more relaxed, and she was a mover. I could feel her a lot more. But by the time I had her, I was 37. So they monitored me quite well because it's called a geriatric pregnancy.
Are you serious?
Yep. After the age of about 30, it's a geriatric pregnancy.
Wow. There's a lot of geriatric
There's a lot
now.
of geriatric pregnancy,
Yep.
geriatric mums, and I feel it. But she was fine. And I think because at that point, like deeply subconsciously, I'm like, nope, I can do this. It goes. And I was busier, we'd moved to London by then, and I had a 14-month-old, and, so I was busier, but I was way more relaxed. But yeah, definitely that first one. And the first 12 weeks, I would get my husband to phone him for all our results, because they monitor you quite well, like it's weekly blood tests and scans and stuff. And I was like, at that point, I was like, I want you to tell me if something's happened. I don't want them to tell me anymore. And so he had to, which actually was quite good. I think he kind of...
So when you say that, they were calling him first?
Yeah. To tell me the results of the tests.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas before I'd phone up,
Yeah.
and just because that was our 5th pregnancy, and I was like, I just can't do that anymore if it's negative.
Yeah, sure.
So can you, and then lucky you get to tell me if it's bad. So yeah, it was a bit of a basket case for a while.
Oh, you would be. How many kids have you got now?
2.
So just got the 2.
Just got the 2.
Cool.
Yeah, we walked out of that hospital in London and we went, oh, we're done.
That's
it was such a long journey.
Yeah.
We started when I was 32, and we walked out with her when I was 37 and a half.
37 and a half.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I know other people who had like much longer journeys, because we never had to do IVF, but if people are doing IVF, they've got to be trying for a certain amount of time, and to tick all the boxes to get, if they're going to go with the publicly funded stuff.
Yeah.
And so some people are like these 10-year journeys to get one.
Yeah.
And then they go back and, for 2. So these long journeys.
Yeah.
That are, month in, month out on their mind. It's like a little grief every month. And so I don't know how they do it. Hats off to them, because it's hard, and it's hard on your relationship, and it's hard. It brought us really close, but I know for a lot of people it can be, quite fractious.
Yeah. You start unwittingly pointing fingers, and you start getting a little bit tense, and things,
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, definitely sometimes. I know one of the people who contributed to my book wanted to leave her husband at one point so she could go and have kids, because it was an issue with him. But she was so beautifully honest about it.
Yeah.
And for other people, it's just, maybe he'll get to the point he's like, let's just forget it. And she's like, no, I'm not ready to give up. So you've got that, are you always, or hey, let's adopt, but I don't want to. Or, can't you just forget about it and us have a nice holiday? No, I can't because, so you've got that unless you're both on the same page the whole way through. Yeah. Those are big decisions to make.
Would you have adopted if you couldn't, if it was just too much, would you have adopted?
It didn't interest us.
No.
No. No. For no reason. It just was never a desire.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm grateful. It's really hard in New Zealand. There's very few adoptions.
I've heard, yeah.
A lot of other things, but not a lot of adoptions. And and it's quite hard to adopt overseas, I think. There's a lot of, red tape. So I'm grateful we didn't, because that's a huge journey in itself, I think. Although it's funny, I've got one friend who, they did IVF and then they had quite a few leftover embryos and they didn't want to just destroy them, or that was their choice. And through my network of people with fertility issues, I kind of know them both, but I didn't know they knew each other. And I bumped into one the other day and I'm like, oh, you got a baby, that's great, we're talking about it. And I said, how did it happen? Because I knew they'd tried for ages. Or we adopted an embryo. I'm like, oh, wow. And she said, do you know so-and-so? I'm like, yes, really well. And she's like, we adopted one of theirs. So just this beautiful connection.
Yeah.
And I look at the child and I can so see the resemblance, but what a beautiful gift. So that's an option for some people nowadays as well. I don't know what, again, the red tape's like for that, but another great option.
Because you seem like somebody who's just, you should be a mum. You were born to be a mum.
Oh, bless your
cottons. You've got that, not just from working on kids TV and that sort of stuff, but it's just, I think there are some people out there that women are just like, oh, you guys just should be mums. But they have this issue where they can't get, it's just a long journey in getting it. And then you get some people who, in my mind, maybe not so much, or a little bit too early in their lives, and they just shake hands and get pregnant.
Oh, and that, I remember, this is the dumbest thing, right? But I remember trying, and Angelina Jolie kept getting pregnant or whatever, and I was really miffed to Angelina Jolie. I'm like, but damn
you in your life.
Damn you in your princess life. But really dumb stuff like that. Or, and I had another friend say that, we had a mutual friend who was maybe not in a really great place in her life. And so my friend, Bob, I'll call her Bob, couldn't get pregnant. And our other friend, David, who's a woman, could. And I just remember her saying, this is just, everything feels wrong feeling this, but it's not fair that David gets pregnant when she's in a really bad place in her life.
Yeah.
You go through all of these things and then your friends get pregnant and you're really resentful. And then other friends, you're really fine. So I had some friends, I couldn't wait to hold their babies and I loved them. I had other friends, I didn't want to be near them. And it was completely illogical. There was no rhyme or reason, loved them both. It's a bizarre journey. So it's, not just we're just trying. And I hadn't wanted kids until I married Julian. I just sort of was like, oh, whatever. But within a month, I'm like, yes, now. And he's like, okay.
Fear in his eyes.
All right. You're frightening me, woman. So, yeah, it's because it's a different journey for everyone. But it's one of those, I always like to relate it to people that want to get married or find the one or whatever. And you, to a degree, you can Tinder or whatever it till the cows come home or go on a million dates. You can't make it happen because you can't make someone fall in love with you and want to marry or move in with you, whatever your thing is. And
you can't write in your Tinder profile, I want to have babies now. I want to do this. I want to
get married now, please.
Yeah.
Please now.
Please
I'm so glad that wasn't around when I was dating. That's a whole new world. I was listening to one of your previous podcasts. I'm like, what are they talking about? That sounds like really hard work.
Have you got friends that you live vicariously through on their Tinder profiles and stuff?
No, I've never even looked. I've never seen it. I've never looked at it. But I do have friends.
Of course, you've never looked at it.
I have friends that talk about it, and never very positively.
Really?
Their experiences haven't been wonderful.
No.
That's not my judgment on Tinder. That's them. They're just saying that through it all, and these are women, they have found that the guys they've been out with are just looking for a quick fling, and that's not what they're looking for. And kind of in my naivety, I was like, but isn't that kind of what Tinder is? Like, whether it was supposed to be that or not, from everything I hear about it, it seems to be.
I think in other countries, I talk to a lot of friends of mine from the States and Britain and all that sort of thing, and Tinder is that. It's a quick fix application. But in New Zealand, and I think to a point in Australia and some of the other countries, we're quite a bit more conservative.
Right.
So we, especially for the initial first few years, I think a lot of New Zealanders or women and guys, we took it we are looking for a relationship.
Right.
We are looking for something a little bit more. But the trouble is, with here, no one's really open and honest about what they want or how to describe what they want. Just say it. If you want something quick and fling, just be honest about it. But no one really knows how to communicate properly here.
But like you said, no one's going to put, I want to get married.
I want to get married. I want babies now.
Please. Yeah.
Must be 6 foot floor, blonde, of a certain, let's just break it down.
But that whole dating world's just like it must be really hard to kind of meet people. Like everyone's super busy, right? And we are living our lives a lot through social media, rightly or wrongly, good or bad. We tend to be, and so I'm kind of like, how do people meet? I'm sure they do. People do.
Yeah.
But I guess used in the right way, Tinder's great. If it's like, oh hey, cool, we can meet. There's someone. If like you're saying, if people are being open and honest, and this is what I want, this is who I really am, and you go, oh yeah, cool.
It's an actual Tinder to start the fire.
Oh, is it?
Hopefully.
I never thought about that.
I actually realised it recently. Why do they call it Tinder?
What's Bumble? I heard you guys talking about Bumble. What's that?
Bumble it's just another version of Tinder. It's pretty much the same. The only difference is women have to initiate the conversations first.
Because it was created by Sarah and Erin Foster, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's
they had something to do with Tinder, I think.
Oh, okay. So it's more like a female focus. Or marketed as a female focus in the sense that the women start the conversations?
More female friendly.
More female friendly.
I think, as opposed to Tinder, which is...
So what does Bumble mean?
I don't know.
Bumbling around trying to find
It's
someone.
a hive. It's the hive.
Oh, you're the bee and the honey. Or you're the honey that the bees come to. You're the honey that the bees
Women are honey
come
traps
to.
is what Bumble is.
We've solved the problems of the world.
Boom.
So
There it is
good.
right there. How the hell did we get back onto that? It's like every one of these podcasts is going to talk about Tinder and Bumble at some stage. I'm sure of it.
I've learned something, so thank you for educating me.
You're very welcome. I was going to say, how has being a children's television show host influenced or affected your motherhood, bringing up kids? Do you think it was an advantage to be crazy as a 32-year-old?
No. People think I'm like, I keep getting asked to do kid stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let us remember there were no children in the studio. There
True.
was a camera
Yep.
and adults.
Yep.
And
So none at all, because some of them, is it what now has an audience sometimes?
yeah, they have an audience.
Yeah.
No, we didn't.
Right.
And it's funny, my husband was saying last night, we kind of like, we adore our kids and our friends' kids, but that's kind of where it ends. But
Other kids, no.
not so much. No, not in a bad way, but we're not kid people. We're not like, so I think people assume that because I did the show that I love that. And I can do that.
Yeah.
But it was an acting job for me.
Yep.
It was a job, it was work. And no differently than I don't want to go out with a bunch of real estate people and do selling or be a DJ, like for the music show. And I had these, it's interesting you asked me about the motherhood thing. I had these expectations of what I would be as a mother.
Right.
It was so much more fun than I am. I think as a mother, you're kind of the fun police. And my husband works overseas 80% of the time. So he's away a lot. So it's just me. So I'm kind of, especially when they're young, you're keeping them alive and really responsible for teaching them the basics. And I think I'm a bit black and white. I found it hard to be that and fun. Julian comes home and he's the one that I'm like, do you think you should have done that in front of the kids because now they're doing it? A bit more as they get older. I can now. I do find it hard to switch between the two. And also, when we came back from England, I had a complete burnout. I had bad postnatal depression, so I wasn't fun. I was just really getting through the days. But I really thought I would be a way more fun mum than I am. And when we go on holiday, I am. When I don't have to think about the cooking or, yes, you have to go to bed by this time, otherwise you're going to be feral tomorrow or whatever it is. Although I was talking to them the other day and they're like, no, Mum, you're really fun. And I'm like, oh, bless you, your yardstick's quite small then. But they think I'm fun.
Yeah.
And that's what matters. And I mean, for fun for them, I think what I am really good at, so that I'm not all negative on myself, what I am really good at is like, giving them a lot of affection and a lot of affirmation and trying to, with my little feminist soul, send them out into the world without being crushed and talking things through and being honest with them, and so more that than the crazy fun stuff. Although you know what, they asked me to go on the trampoline the other day, and I've always said no, partly because the pelvic floor ain't the same after kids, but also because I was so unfit, and so I got on the trampoline. I was with them for like 15 minutes because I started getting fitter, and that was amazing. So I think this summer's going to be fun. I'm going to do a bit more.
Yep. Speaking of fitness, let's move on to that.
Segue.
So when I've known you for about 5 years properly now, and we used to do the Christmas stuff.
Yes.
So we had Frank on last week, and he was one host, and you were the other host with Uncle Frank.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was Santa Claus.
Yes.
Yay. That was a lot of fun.
You're a good Sandy.
All right. I'll do the job.
You go. You're very funny.
Thank you. I'll claim that. Yep. So back then you were a fuller figured woman.
Yes, I was carrying quite a bit of extra weight. Yes.
We had a bit of excess there, and then over the last 12 months, maybe about the last 12 months on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, I just started seeing this other person appearing.
Are you stalking me?
I wasn't stalking, it just kept coming. And I'm like, who is this? It's like New Zealand's Kate Winslet. What's going on? And it was you, and you've transformed yourself recently.
Yes.
So tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. So it's a long one. This is the long story.
Go nuts. Got time.
So so years and years ago, I was a bit of a party girl. I was a little bit of a party girl, and it didn't serve me well. Mm-hmm. And in my late 20s, I kind of came to the place where I realised that me and drinking weren't really working out too well. Mm-hmm. A bit of a dysfunctional relationship, and I just wasn't drinking like a normal sane person.
Yep. And
I still had a job and I still had friends. I don't know how, and it was getting out of control. And someone, a doctor actually, I'd gone to for something else. We ended up talking about it, and she said, "Do you think you need to stop? Do you think this is an issue?" And I was sort of like, "Yeah, I think it might be." So I dealt with that then, and so a year ago or a year and a half ago, I sort of started to think I'm treating food the same way, and I probably always had mainly sugar, and I sort of got no control over it.
Yep.
And once I start, I don't stop. And I tried everything, like short of gastric surgery. I had tried every diet, every challenge, every weight loss program, whatever, and they'd work, but they never stayed worked. And so I thought, I wonder if I can apply, because it was the same feelings, of like going to bed at night and going, I'm not going to do that tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm not going to eat really great all day and then a tub of ice cream at night or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And yet waking up and having a tub of ice cream in the morning, because I didn't have it at night, I had it in the morning, and so I addressed it from the same way, like as I had with alcohol, treating it as treating the root of the problem rather than the body, rather than going, I want to lose weight. What can I do to lose weight?
Yep.
I went, I don't kind of want to be bound by food. No. I don't want to be bound by doing the thing I don't want to do, which is waking up and eating a tub of ice cream. And so I started addressing that.
I'm just imagining just a tub of ice cream in the morning for breakfast. No.
Yeah.
No, not possible.
You haven't tried carbonated triple chocolate, clearly.
I have.
It's good, eh?
So good.
It's so good.
Yep.
So I've heard. And so sort of I started addressing that way and coming at it from a completely different angle. And the byproduct of that has been a physical transformation from like a mental, emotional, spiritual transformation. And it's been really interesting because I get a lot of comments. Someone actually said to me yesterday, and I know the guy, and he meant well, like he's a really great guy.
Yeah.
But he said, "Wow, you've lost heaps of weight. You look great." I actually think I went, okay, because it's one of those funny things that I would have used to have loved that. I would have used to have wanted people to comment on my weight loss, because that was the goal, right? The goal this time was sanity and freedom. Like, I don't want to feel dominated by something anymore that I can't control. And anyway, and he said, "Oh, but you have and you do." And so at that point, I'm like, because he's an amazing guy. He's great. I could see that's just his way of very straightforward. Yeah. But I get it a lot, and I get it from people at school that are like, "Wow, you've lost heaps of weight. What have you done?" And I'm like, "We're walking out of the school production. Let's not talk about it now because I don't think you really want to know what I've done. Like, because what I've done isn't a diet. And it's a longer conversation. But it's made me think, I'm very aware that when I have my daughters with me, for the last year, all they've heard is, you look amazing, you've lost weight.
Yeah.
So what's their message?
That everything's good. It's just a visual perspective of everything.
And if you are big, you don't look good.
No.
Right. So I've found that I've sat and talked to them and, you know, about it's not how you look and all that stuff. But also I found it really interesting that people feel quite free to comment on your weight when it's positive.
Yeah.
They've figured out you don't say it if it's not.
Yeah.
But it's still quite an unusual thing. Like in all my life, I've had people comment on my weight. I've had people at school as a surf lifeguard. I'd go to parties and people I didn't know would go, oh, we saw you at the carnival last spring. Now you've put on a bit of weight. I was 15.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. So, and that's why I stayed out of the media.
Christchurch.
PR. No. But I've stayed, like people are like, why don't you get back into it? I'm like, there's no way I'm putting myself out there at the weight I was at.
Yeah.
Inherently, I'm the same person. Well, I wasn't. I mean, I have changed because we always keep changing, right? We do transform.
But there is a mental change as well. When you lose that weight, like I went through something similar over the last 18 months, and it was...
You're looking great.
Thank you so much. Is it just my looks, though? I mean, there's more to it. It's deep.
I mean, you're looking great in your eyes, which are the windows of the soul. So I actually mean, you know, your soul's looking great.
I know what you're saying.
Thanks.
But when you lose that weight, and I think I much prefer, rather than people saying you're looking slim, you're looking skinny, blah, 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 I would rather people said you're looking fit. Because that's more important to me.
Healthy.
Because, looking healthy, because that is a much broader spectrum and really is a much broader analysis of how I feel.
Well, it's true because you've eaten well and you've worked out, so you are looking fit and healthy. You haven't just starved yourself into skinniness, which you couldn't say that then. And
most of the time, skinniness doesn't work.
No,
you know what I mean.
And it's not necessarily fit and healthy.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah.
See, Julian's he's been training all year, my husband, and people comment a lot to him, and they'll say that to him. They'll say, you know, you're looking fit and healthy, and he does, and they do to me too sometimes. And it's different when it's a friend or it's a genuine, hey, you know, what's happened. So it's not, you know, a blanket statement. It's just unusual to have people you don't really know come up and say stuff. And it's kind of like, okay. What do you say? Hey, you've lost weight. You go,
Cheers.
Thanks. It's like when I was on the Go Show, people would come up to me and go, you're on the Go Show. And I'd go, yes. And then we'd stand there and I'm like, oh, now I've got to make conversation. And I was a shocking, because we were going through all the losses, who I was in real life was not who I was on the camera.
No.
You know, on the camera, and the camera finished filming and I'd be like, you know. And so when people would meet me with their kids that they wanted me to meet and I had nothing left, I was the rudest. I just felt so rude. And I'd go home and I'd feel bad because I wasn't. I'm not rude, but I just had nothing. And so, you know, I remember meeting Petra Baggist, right? Years ago when she was on Ice TV, and she was the nicest person. She was so lovely. And I was like, I'm not that. I'm not being what I am on screen. And I was very aware of it. But, you know, what do you say? I'm sorry, I'm not very chatty. We've just lost a baby. You know, I was open, but not that open.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a weird thing. And, of course, now it's completely different. People can comment on Instagram of celebrities. And they can, not that I was a celebrity, but they can comment on this and comment on that. And
what do you think of that whole, since you're starting to get back into it now, the way things have changed over the last 10 years odd, with social media and with the way that we communicate and with the way that celebrity is created and marketed? It's completely different, one would think.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? How does that make you feel getting back into it now?
At first I was like, oh my gosh, the people who are given the jobs of presenting now that I would have wanted to go for, you know, 10 years ago, whatever, are reality show contestants.
Yeah.
Finished their reality shows. And that doesn't mean they're bad. That's not a reflection. You know, I haven't seen some of the shows, but I'm sure they're very good at what they do as well, you know, presenting. But that's the inroad for so many people now. Yeah. Or they've done something on Instagram that's kind of not related, but they're an influencer. And so they're getting jobs. So it's I felt like that woman in the 80s who went back to work and she's like, oh my gosh, there's computers. I just want to use my typewriter. You know, I was like, I'm not going to do that. And then I was like, don't be stupid. Like, you've got to play the game somewhat. Yeah. You know, I mean, I'm not on Instagram trying to be, you know, trying to be something I'm not. But I'm like, I need to probably make it public, not private, like, you know, or be a little bit strategic with what I'm doing, because I can't ignore the world. But I reckon the flip and the bonus now is you're not waiting for work all the time. You can write an article and put it on your blog. You can make a podcast. You can have a YouTube. So because part of it is the creative fulfillment of making those things. You know, I mean, it's nice if someone reads them, and it's great if someone watches them or listens to them. So that is important, because you don't want to be just doing it for yourself, because it's a journal, right? But you're not waiting for that creative outlet. You can go ahead and make something and put it out there and go on to the next thing, rather than trying to hawk it around or wait for an audition or will someone see me. And
you feel like you're being much more proactive in life as a creative, and it just gives you another outlet.
And you meet people through it. Like, you know, the connections, like we'd done the Christmas thing, right? But you know, I can follow you and I could listen to your podcast. And so... And I've had a couple of other things like that where I've connected with people that I kind of knew anyway. Like, it's not like real cold connections. Yeah. But then you're like, oh, well, let's do that and collaborate on that. I saw someone put something that I knew from years back on Facebook, and I contacted her to say, great, I love what you're doing. She's like, cool, can I have you on the show? And I was like, okay. You know, so you've got, I think if you use it well.
Yep. It's a great communicative tool. It
really is. And it, like you said, it gives you some power and some control. You didn't say that exactly, but it's like, you know people go, that's like you said that, and you're sitting there going, I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. I didn't say anything like that.
So what you're saying is,
no offence, but.
But.
I'm going to say something really offensive.
If you say but, everything before it was bullshit.
It's all fine, no problems.
No worries at all. But I think there is a fine line, though. I think it's just... the influencer thing, maybe this is the cynical part of me coming out, but when we go and do a shoot and it's for a corporate or whatever, and they've got an influencer to come along, they might have nothing to do with the product that we're marketing or anything like that, but because they've got X amount of likes on the gram or Facebook or whatever it is the kids are doing these days. This is when you're
going to film someone else's
work. You're going to film someone else's stuff, and they have an influencer coming up. Instead of a trained presenter or something along those lines, they just get this person who's an influencer, and you just spend half the day teaching them how to talk, or it just makes it really, really difficult. And some people are great on Instagram with photographs and informative text stuff, and you know, being motivational and all that sort of stuff. But some people just shouldn't be behind a microphone or in front of a camera.
Well, it's a really different job.
Way different.
It's like, I wouldn't get someone to come and, hey, can you come and do the recording of the sound? Well, I've never used a camera. That's okay. You got a lot of followers. You'll do it.
Yeah.
It's okay. I think it's a different thing. I think it will pan out eventually. I mean, the bonus, I guess, is that some people are getting a chance that never would have otherwise, which is cool. Except I want their job, which is really cool. But, you know, some people shouldn't.
There's opportunities there for training. You know what I mean? If someone wants to get into it and take some of these people and train them up properly and give them some sort of...
Or you could use people that are already able to do it.
That would be a much more sensible idea. Way more sensible.
So good. But it'd be nice if there was room for everyone, right? I guess just, you know, with New Zealand, we're making stuff, but we're not making stuff as prolifically as, say, in the States, where there's room and scope for all sorts of stuff.
They've got the population. Here it's really difficult, like even doing this, the podcast thing. I'm not going to get Joe Rogan's numbers anytime soon.
I'll give them to you after.
Oh, that'd be great.
Sweet.
Yeah. But you're not going to get like millions of viewers or anything like that for a very, very long time.
You meant his phone number.
Not his phone number.
Tinder.
But if anyone's got it. Grindr. No. But if... Bumble. But if anyone... because in New Zealand it's really hard, but I think everyone's still got stories. You know, every nation and every whatever, we still got stories. And New Zealand, we can go out to Australia as well. So let's just call it the Australasian market. And we can... you know, clock up numbers and actually make an impact. And that's what should be more of a driving force when you're doing something like this. Not trying to get the numbers and then trying to go to people and make money, not monetizing their fame.
No.
You know what I mean? We're not all Kardashians.
We can only aspire.
Can only dream.
Only dream. But it's kind of like network marketing.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you start at the top, I listened to this really interesting podcast by this guy about network marketing. It was a particular product, and he said it's great when you start. If you get in at the beginning, you can make those numbers because everyone else is down here. It gets watered down, right?
Yeah.
So particularly in New Zealand, say you're doing network marketing and you're at the top, great. You're going to get all of that money coming back up. If you're at the bottom, the market's flooded with Amway, whatever.
Yeah.
And so down there, you're not going to make as much. And I think it's the same when, you know, at some point, like when Instagram started, people would get these big numbers and stuff because there wasn't 2,000 you know, fitness transformations on there, or there wasn't, you know, 2,000 mummy logs or whatever.
Yeah.
And mummy logs?
Mummy logs? Like mummy logs.
Mummy log, vlog, blog, mummy log. And mums of Instagram, whatever. And now it's saturated with that. Yeah. But you see, there's still not heaps and heaps of podcasts here. So that's great time to start. But maybe in 5 years, if you're trying to start, the market might be saturated because it's that smaller market. That's just a thought.
No, it's true. That's kind of one of the... I did think about that. I was like, are there any other podcasts out there in New Zealand doing this particular style?
No. So you're starting a great time.
Yeah, I think it's and people know of it because of other people overseas who are doing similar sorts of things. So now in New Zealand, it's a good time to do it.
It's a good time to do it. Yes. Yeah. Whereas in 5-6 years, if you were starting then, so you'll already have your followers. You can only follow so many podcasts and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you'll have your core of people that like what you're doing and keep listening.
Yeah.
Or it'd be maybe harder. I might better hurry up and get home and do something.
Say your own podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna no, I'll just go guest on others.
Would you do something like this? Would you do radio?
Oh, I love radio.
Yep.
I love radio. I love tandems. I love doing a tandem on radio. I don't think I would enjoy so much just me.
Yep.
Because I work really well bouncing off other people's ideas.
Yep.
I did radio live last year at Easter with a guy I used to work with, and he's great. He'll come up with something like random, and he'll put it out there, and then look at me like, "Can you run with it?" And I'm like, "Yes, I can run with that, but I can't do it. I don't want to do what you just did, which is just come up with it."
Yeah.
So I do love a good tandem.
Yep.
Plus, I don't know how to work boards, but I do love a good tandem. Yep. But again, it's hard to get into radio now too, and there's all radio schools and
radio's visual now anyway.
And
it's all
crossover.
It's heavily crossed over. They're practically little TV stations now. Radio is sort of like dying a little bit, and I think it's also way too controlled. I think radio stations and being on radio there's just too much. People at the top, you have to watch what you're saying and be a certain level of political correctness and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So... Damn
that political correctness.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, fiddly-dee. No.
Oh, gosh darn.
No, gosh darn. Yeah, it's very controlled, I think. Even talkback radio and that sort of stuff, you've got to watch your P's and Q's. Not that you shouldn't do that anyway, but I mean, it's more about... what's your ideology and what you're saying, and you have to think...
Bring back Paul Henry, right?
Right? Bring him back.
Because at least he was interesting.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see, and I would like to do a tandem with another woman. Like there's none out there. I mean, there's 2 women and a guy.
Yep.
2 guys and a woman.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Tinder anymore. And but
sorry, I was going to rewind.
I'd like to do it because it's not out there that I know of. Maybe it is, and I just don't know it. But I think you know, there's a positive and a negative in New Zealand that if you are doing something, they will use you till the cows come home. They will use you on the radio and on the screen and on this thing and that thing. And it's the same people, which is fantastic for that person. Like I would love to do that. I would love to be on that boat, but it's hard. It's hard on the other side of that, you know, to try and get into that when you're not that person. But like even now, like, you know, Dancing with the Stars has radio hosts, which is great, and she was great. I love Sharon Casey. I think she's awesome. I think she's great. But, you know, is like you said, it's that real crossover. It's that crossover, and then there's Jono and Ben show and Jono and Ben, and, you know, and Tony Street on everything. So and I love Tony Street too. So, you know, these people are all fantastic. So it's great when you can get in there. It's so good, and I love that. But it's quite hard to try and get in there. I think maybe I'm just being negative and scaredy cat because I'm trying to get back into it. And I'm like,
no, it is hard to get back in there, especially is it MediaWorks? Is that TV3? They love that celebrity culture that they build.
Yeah,
that's their thing,
and they do it well.
They do it very well.
They do it really well,
and they stick with it, and they always go to the same people, and da. And there is absolutely no crossover with, say, TVNZ or NZME or anything like that. They're very tight with that. It's a very American model. That one.
But they do it great, and it's and it's a lot of fun, and it is nice. You know, it's like any branding, really, isn't it? You want to know what you're getting, so you do know what you're getting.
Yep.
And I'd like to be getting that.
Yeah.
I would
but that's
like
where it's hard for other people to break into it. to get into it.
It can be. Yeah, it can be. And especially with presenting and stuff, because that doesn't really go through agents. That's, like my old VHS tape or, and now, you can write into people or send them, but they don't necessarily reply. And that's fine. That's the business. So it's a really different world trying to get back into it. And that's exciting. That there's a lot of positives as well. You can sit around and moan about it, but try and use it to your advantage, I guess.
No, that's exactly right. I think you can sit around and moan about it. It's so easy to be negative about something like that. And there are moral implications and all that sort of stuff that are a little bit, can we just do this a different way? Yeah. Remember, we had to learn something and do it properly. But how great if you're that person. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. If it was me getting it, I wouldn't be like, oh, no, don't use me for that because you've used me for that. I'd be like, yep, and I'll take that, please, and that, and that.
And that, yeah.
Because I've done acting, presenting, writing, and radio. I'd like to do it all now, please. So I would have no complaints if they picked me.
Yeah.
None. So you can't sit back and complain about it just because you're not the one benefiting from the system.
Yeah.
Because that's silly.
Exactly. Going back to the transformation.
Yes.
What exactly did you do? How did you do it?
So when I had...
Well, first of all, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you.
Yes.
Go back a little bit. Why did you start it? I think we've talked about the obvious reasons as to why one would change, but what was the catalyst that made you just go, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to change.
I'll change now.
Yeah.
I think I had I'd done Weight Watchers or something and lost weight, and then I'd finished and I put it back on, and I was just over it. I was over that mulberry bush, going around and around the same mulberry bush, and just really came to that place of, man, I got no control over this.
Yeah.
I can't control this, and I'm not. And this is the same result, and I keep doing the same thing, expecting that different result, like that definition of insanity.
Yeah.
And I think because I was a bit older too, I didn't hate myself because I was overweight, which I would have when I was younger.
Yeah.
But it wasn't there. I was just like, I don't want to every day wake up and go, I'm not going to do that, and I do. It's a horrible defeatist. I felt so defeated because I'm like, I'm not wanting to do something, and yet I'm doing it. So kind of that duality in my head, little devil, little angel on the shoulder. And it had just, it had been there for a while. It had occurred to me that I could maybe deal with this in the same way. And so just approaching it from that place and coming down to that place of like, let's just surrender to it. But you mean like how do I practically do it, don't you? Like no. Yeah. So just so when I'd stopped drinking, I'd use like 12-step program and the basis of that.
Have you stopped drinking completely? Do you drink at all?
18 years.
18 years sober?
18 years this Saturday coming. Yeah.
That is a willpower I can only dream of.
No. Because I was talking to my dad this morning. I don't miss it. I've never missed it because like you might go out and have a few drinks and it's fun, right? It wasn't fun anymore. It was messy.
Yeah.
I was messy. And so I'd never in my life had a drink. Unless you consider the whole box.
I know what you're saying.
A drink.
Yep.
So I didn't enjoy a drink.
I've had a bottle of wine. Yeah. I know what you mean.
Just one?
Well, we can go back. But was that a conscious choice because you realised that you can't moderate? When you did it, you said, nah, I can't do this. I've just got to cold turkey the shit out of this, and that's it.
I'd had 10 years of giving that a whirl.
Yeah.
And it just didn't. There was zero benefit in me drinking, like absolutely zero.
Yeah.
There was nothing positive about it anymore. I mean, not every day was dire. I wasn't, crawling along the ground drunk or anything. But there was no longer one positive thing about it.
No.
And I'd sort of got to the point, I think, of stopping trying to control it.
Yep.
And the last few weeks of it, I was just like, whatever. And so I think really the only recourse at that point was to stop, because otherwise it was going to get to a place where I would lose a job or drive when I shouldn't be, or that sort of thing, I think. And so when this doctor said to me, do you think you want to stop? And I'm like, yeah. I think I want to stop more than I want to keep going.
What drove you to the doctor?
The car. Sorry.
Oh, this one.
I'm really sorry.
On fire.
See, I have kids.
On fire.
And those are my jokes. That's my humour now. Boom.
Boom. But what were you there for something else and you just brought it up?
Yeah,
right.
I'd been there a year before and I kind of had the shakes and I said, I've got the shakes, and she said, are you drinking much? I said, no, I've actually cut back. And she's like, okay, I think that's the DTs to a degree.
Yeah. I
was like, oh. So I was getting these weird migraine, panic attack, weird visual things.
Yeah.
And I just think it was intuition for her. I think something kind of spoke to her to ask me that because I wasn't there for that. Eh?
All the hallucinogens, who knows?
You can't tell. You can't really differentiate between the two.
I can't tell. No, you're holding yourself together very well. That's awesome.
I try.
Yeah, but
so yeah. So I was really grateful she said something because it was the right time.
Yeah.
A right place.
Sorry, I can't remember if you mentioned this. How old were you when?
27.
27 when you did that.
Yes.
Shit, that's a hard time. That's your drinking years right there.
Oh, I'd done well since I was 15. I'd sown some solid time and effort into it. Yeah. But so I was really excited to stop.
Yeah.
I've never missed it.
Yeah.
Ever. I felt so free because I didn't have to make any choices anymore. And I think that's the same with the food. Like I don't eat refined sugar. No. That's my nemesis. And I don't really eat gluten or dairy on the whole.
Yeah.
And I feel really free in that. Someone's like, don't you feel like you're missing out? I'm like, no, because I don't have to make choices anymore. Like I'm just like, I just don't eat them.
Yeah.
If I don't eat them, they're not a problem.
Yeah.
If I eat them, then I want more. And then I've got to make the choices. Do I have that? How much do I have of that? Do I do this?
And a lot of times it's only a problem for the other people. And they make it a problem. You know what I mean? Like when I didn't drink for 6 months last year. When I wasn't drinking,
how did you find that?
I loved it. It was
Why
tricky.
did you stop?
I stopped because I went through a hard time just over a year ago. I got depressed, very depressed. I was very, very down. And I thought, right, I got to do something about this. And I was drinking, not excessively heavy, but I have had times where I'd go out on the weekend and then $200 later I'm $200 down and incredibly drunk and just feeling like crap for about 3 days. So I thought for my mental state, I need to improve myself physically, nutritionally, and take care of this whole, just the drinking side of things. But again, it wasn't a big issue.
Because it's a depressant.
It is. It's a big depressant. And that's what I was finding. I would go out and have these big drinking sessions and get absolutely mothered. And I would wake up in the next morning and the thoughts in my head were not
scary
good.
places.
Very scary places. Some of the worst.
Yeah.
And I was, right, I got to do so. Yeah.
So I'm going to say the words because it needs to be spoken. So suicidal thoughts?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it got to that point. I would wake up and I was just so down.
Yes.
And you're thinking about everything.
Yes.
And everything's running around in your head, and it's just Within an hour, I can think my way out of it.
Yeah.
But that hour is so bad.
And did you have those moments when you weren't drinking? Like, did you wake up like that on the days you hadn't been drinking?
Seldom.
So it really was, you were depressed, but that was tipping you a little bit.
No, I did. For a few weeks, I would wake up regularly thinking that it's only in the mornings when I wake up. So I would wake up and I'd be like, the worst of the worst. I would have suicidal thoughts. I would be just in this really, really, really grim, dark place. But through experience and through family stuff that's happened in the past, I just realized this is not me. This is just, I need to just think my way out of this, which is hard to do because sometimes with thinking comes overthinking. You can go in the other direction. But that I was normally able to just be calm, chill out, and think of positive things and get out of it eventually.
Did you talk to anyone about it?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, no, I did. I went to a counsellor. That was the first and only time I've done that, actually.
Public service really announcement. Would you then, if someone's listening and they are feeling like that, and they may have heard, because all depressions are different, which,
totally.
and that was yours and that worked for you.
Yeah.
Would you recommend just thinking your way out of it? Or would you, because some people here just snap out of it, and you're not saying that, but this is a PSA. Yeah. What would you recommend for someone who finds themselves waking up like that?
If it's self-inflicted, like due to alcohol and stuff, and if you can, try and put in ways of positive thinking, because you can't always just get on the phone and call somebody, and you can't always do that. Well, the funny thing is, like when you are in that situation, you don't think you can. But you probably could, you know what I mean? But you don't. So
you don't want to be a bother.
You don't want to be a bother, and sometimes you don't want to admit to people
cleaning up the aftermath of a suicide.
Yeah.
Is But I don't want to.
You got some blankets and a shovel?
But I don't want to. No, I don't mean physically. I mean, the emotional. Dara, I reckon. But we do that, don't we? We're like, I can't phone them and be a hassle, but I'll just go down and down and down.
Yeah. But no, I think generally, if you are getting to a point where if something's happened in your life, or you're just so down, or you do suffer from proper depression, you need a neutral voice, someone who is not a friend, because they'll only tell you the shit you want to hear. Unless you've got, and there are some friends, but then they can go too far.
Unless you've got a psychiatrist friend.
Unless you've got a psychiatrist friend, and even then, they've got money in the game, so you're not going to get the best. I think you still won't get the best support. So if you go to someone who's completely neutral, and you listen to what they have to say and go through all that sort of stuff, I reckon you can't beat it. Especially when you go into a really bad patch, which I was.
And stopping the alcohol helps, right? But then the other stuff you were talking about, I think, once we start...
Yeah.
And I'm not simplifying depression or suicide at all by, hey, eat your greens.
Everyone's got different different things too. And for some people, for me, it's food and exercise. Yeah. So when I've been at my worst, it's because... And I look back and it's just like I was eating shit and I wasn't working out. Yeah. And that was then. And then I thought, right, I'm just going to change this. I'm going to go 6 months. I did it with a friend of mine, so I was held accountable, especially for the diet stuff. And we both went 6 whole months, not a drop of alcohol, from my point of view. I don't know about him, but I didn't have any. And no carbs, all clean eating. And my mental state just was so clear. And by the end of that 6 months, I've never felt happier.
And again, PSA, we're not saying that will cure everything, but for you,
for me,
why did you start again?
I think it's a good start, though.
I think it's a good start. For sure. It can't hurt.
Depending on where you are on the spectrum of things, I think if you look at your diet, if you look at your activity, I think generally everyone's going to benefit from that. You know what I mean? Now, how much more do you need to add on top of that? Do you need to take some sort of pills? Do you need to get further help? And so on and so forth. Yes. That's for the individual. Yes. But I think diet, after my experience, and from experience that after talking to other people about it and listening to other people, I think diet and exercise is the absolute main contributor to depression. No, hang on, let me rephrase that. Main contributor to relieving depression and putting yourself in the right direction anyway. You know what I mean? Because it's weird. As soon as I knocked out things like carbs, gluten, sugars, all of those things, and then when you're nerding out on it for that 6 months, I got nothing else to do. I'm just going to research it, right? So I found out what sugar does to the brain, what sugar does to the body, what gluten does to the brain, what gluten does to the body. Not for everybody, but certainly for me.
Yeah, same.
What things I need to put more in my body. I need to put more meat in my body. I need to put more vegetables in my body. And you just learn, and you learn about all these different things and how they work. And then you add exercise on top of that. And the thing that I didn't consider when I started it that helped me out the most was the discipline of doing it. So yes, doing the workouts, you physically change, eating the right food, you nutritionally change, and you improve. But the big mental thing was the discipline, and it was I get up this hour every morning. I don't allow myself to lie in bed. Start thinking. Don't allow yourself to lie in bed. Straight to the gym. Pump some iron. Feeling good. Get those hormones running around. Feeling great. Come home. Have my coffee. And I just had these routines every morning. Yeah. And
it gives you purpose and gives you purpose. Yeah, you don't have to think so much then.
Yeah. And if you can have some sort of routine for the first couple of hours of your day, then the rest of your day, it's going to be sweet. Well, from my point.
I think what you said is really key. Is that good nutrition, exercise are like the basis, a good starting block, and then some people will need more, and some people, there's chemical imbalance and all that. You've got other different things happening, but on a cellular level, I know when I was really in a bad place after we came back from England, I was just living on Red Bull and sugar, and I was just it was horrible, and it took all that out, and it doesn't always solve. I still have times, but now I ride them and go, it's like not of the eating it, but of feeling down. Down. I'm like, that'll pass. But I know for other people it can be, all consuming and overwhelming. But I think what you said is really good. It's that you can do something then, because you feel so useless with depression. I mean, you're not useless, but the times I felt like I can't do anything, and I can't do anything to get myself out of this, and I can't, and just those simple hard things to do.
Yeah.
Because they're hard to do when you've got no energy and you feel lethargic. And
they're
you don't
simple on
want to do it.
paper, but to actually put them into practice, that's hard.
That's hard. But it's something you can do. You can do that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And it can be a step-by-step basis. I think some people have to do it step by step.
Yep.
But for some people like myself and maybe for you, it's just like cold turkey.
Yep.
Cut it, done.
So why did you start drinking again?
I gave myself that 6 months. I like the flavors, to be honest. I just like certain drinks. But I found that when I came back to drinking, and I was saying before, doing all that research about diet and stuff, there are certain things I just don't want to drink anymore because of the health non-benefits. So beer, far too many carbs. So I've knocked most beer out.
Did not work out all day to have that beer.
That's right. I didn't want that gut.
Nope.
But it's so beer is pretty much knocked on the head. Less wine, but now I just drink more straight spirits and stuff. I like a bit of whiskey on ice. It's quite nice. But I do it mainly for the flavors. But in saying that, recently I've had a couple of nights and woken up in the mornings and not felt bad, like as horrendous as I have. But still, you just lie there and you go, now I'm thinking, why? What's the point? Do I need anything? Do I need to drink anything? I'm quite happy drinking bubbly water with lemon in it. People think it's vodka. I'm still socially acceptable. Let's do that. So, yeah, that has been something that's been on my mind lately.
Yeah.
You know? But it was funny. When I was doing the 6-month thing, being a single dude, you go on dates, Bumble. You go on dates, and you're sitting at the table, and they're looking at you, and they're just like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you drinking? Oh, yeah, totally. Yep. It is a moment where they realise you're not drinking, and they're like,
we're a big drinking culture like that.
Drinking culture.
No, I'm not like getting down on New Zealand with drinking culture, but a lot of our socializing is around alcohol.
Yeah, totally is.
Good, better, and different.
Yeah. And it's not so much, not just based around there. I was talking to a German friend of mine the other day, and she was saying that there's no nightclubs in New Zealand. We don't dance here. Everything's based around what you're saying, drinking. We go to pubs and we just sit there and we drink and we get
times
blasted.
have changed. I used to go to nightclubs.
Used to. What were the
around
clubs?
now.
No, where do you go to dance? I don't know. Like back in the day, there was
Alfie's.
We're going way back. Alfie's. There was Left Field. Remember Left Field down at the viaduct there? That was a dancing nightclubby kind of place.
And
there was
something on Cairo, DTM or D something.
Oh, I can't remember. But there were places
you could go dance.
Yeah, you could dance and you could just let it out. You got Family Bar still there, but that's for a select few. And yeah, so what you're saying is we don't dance, and it definitely illustrated the fact that we just base everything around drinking.
Yeah.
You know, not even food. Like in Europe, it's either food with drink, dancing with drink. Here, it's drink with something to eat, drink, maybe I'll move my body a little bit.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's yeah,
that does take a while to get used to. Like when I would go out to start with, you would be the only, but I just found people would say, oh, aren't you drinking? I'm like, no, I don't drink. More uncomfortable for them like that. No, I had a miscarriage conversation.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, but I was still fun. Well, I think I was. Yeah. Let's pretend I was. And and yeah, but at first you are a little bit like, okay, what? And then I always get to the point I'm like, now you're all drunk and I'm going.
Yeah,
that's really boring.
Yeah. And that is the other thing too. You when you're not drinking, you go out with friends and all that sort of stuff. You get to a point and it's just like going home.
Yep.
Had enough.
10 o'clock.
It's 10 o'clock.
Something happens at 10 o'clock.
Something happens at 10 and I can't have an espresso martini to wake me up. I'm going home.
Yep.
And I'm fine with that. Something that I realised over the last wee while is that if I'm tired, I'm not going to push myself out and go out, because then I'm just going to go out and get shitty because I'm tired.
Yep.
So I'm going to go home to my lovely bed.
Yes.
And I'm going to snooze.
Yes.
You know? And that has come along with not drinking, because when you drink too much, you just make decisions that you don't really want to do, and you end up...
And you said to me, we were talking recently, and you said that, that changing what you eat and exercise saved your life.
Yes. No, I would definitely say that.
Yep.
It absolutely saved my life.
Yep. It's given me a life, I find.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't in that dark place, but I found it's, exercising, which I've only started more recently, raises the endorphins. And I needed that because I was always low level, that. Yeah. So I find that really helps.
Yeah.
Just got to be careful with the old adrenals, doing HIIT training, but raises that for the rest of the day. Like you said, then you've got the rest of your day to go.
Yeah.
And, some people say you've lost weight and stuff, but some people say, you just look really bright. You look break.
They're
in
the
our
nice
life.
comments, hey?
That's really nice.
I get that. It's not. It's there's something different about
Something
that. People
different
say,
about
"Oh,
you.
you look in good shape" or whatever. That's fine. But when people say you've got a glow or you've got something, you've got this color to you, that means way more than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I was saying to you before, I watched an old. We were filmed for something talking about the miscarriages, and I saw it, and I felt really sad because I remembered how I felt then. Like I was just struggling to stay awake all day because I didn't understand sugar and the caffeine and the Red Bulls with crashing up and down, and just how I was struggling to just get through every day for 2 years, and then ended up having panic attacks and really horrible stuff. And so when I look at it, I felt sad for me, not because I was really overweight, which was not great because not good for your health or anything, but I just knew how I felt.
Yeah.
And some people are like, well, I'm really big, but I'm really healthy. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I wasn't. I wasn't really big and healthy.
Yeah.
I didn't get big by eating carrots.
No. I get that people are happy when they're big. You know what I mean? But I think there's going to be a certain point where they're not going to be happy. I think I'm talking about morbidly obese. I'm talking about really, really big people. And if you can just you can see they're not doing themselves any favor by remaining at a certain size. And how do I go around this? They can see, anyway.
I'm so interested in what you're about to say.
You can, but for me, I think to myself, man, if you just shed 10 kgs, you would feel so much better. You know what I mean? You would be so much more mentally switched on. You'd be so much more just active and being able to do more. I think a lot of people who are really big and happy, they're convincing themselves that they are, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not saying that convincing yourself to be happy is good. I mean, I wish we could all do that in itself. But we never know. Like we don't know unless we walk in their shoes. What I think has been positive about this whole plus size thing is that it stopped the health aside. Because I've met some big people who are really fit and healthy compared to me. I'm really fit and healthy. But it stopped the judgment and the it hasn't. The cruelty.
It hasn't. Because you go on Instagram, people are trolling people all over the show. But it's now, media-wise, it's okay. Whereas before there was criticism and it was the butt of jokes and all of that. So I think that's a real positive.
Yep.
We can only speak to our own health, really, because there's really small people who are really unhealthy too.
Oh, exactly.
But but what I find unusual in the media now is you've either got really young models or really old models. Apparently between 20 and 60 you don't exist.
Right. Yeah.
Or you've got really skinny, I call them minus size models, or plus size models.
Yeah.
Apparently size 14 doesn't count either.
Okay.
So we've got these two extremes, which most people don't fall on either.
No.
And the plus size models are all boobs and bum.
Yeah.
So what if you're all guts? and Like, so it's still, still being presented with these ages, either the grey-haired vixen who's gorgeous or the young girl who's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Right? But there's still nothing in between for just normal.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It was funny when the whole dad bod thing happened. When the dad bod thing came around and everyone was saying that dad bods were cool? No, they weren't. They were never cool.
Was that a bit of a gut?
It was it was a bit of a gut. It was almost like
a dad started that.
A dad totally started that.
Couldn't be bothered working out. And we sat back in bed 1 year later going, it worked. How did that work?
Sitting back with a sixth beer in an hour, just
it's
watching
not a
rugby.
dad bod, it's a beer bod.
It's a beer bod, exactly.
Beer bod.
Exactly. But then there is pressure on dudes as well. I mean, there's superhero movies and all that sort of stuff, and you've got people like Chris Hemsworth and Thor and all this sort of stuff, and people are looking. There's this pressure to look a certain way now, and again, everyone can't look like that. You've got diet, you've got genetics that are involved, you've got training that's involved. How
much does he work out? Like 4 hours a day or something?
Yeah, it's his job. He's got nothing else to do. Plus, he's also got the best trainers and all that sort of thing helping out.
Pays for that amount of food to eat.
So I think there's pressure all around. But
it's still all incredibly superficial.
Yeah.
It's still not about what's your brain like, what's your soul like, what's your heart like. Yeah. Let's have an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
It's still that there's still always going to be that focus. That heavy focus on how we look.
Yeah.
I
just think, as I was saying before, it's more about how it's how you feel. It's the fitness. It's it's much nicer when people say you've got a glow, you're looking fit, you're all that sort of thing. That's much more beneficial than anything else, because that sort of ties into to how you feel mentally in that as well.
Don't even get me started on women over 40 on Hollywood screens. What have they done to their faces?
Oh, for fuck. Yeah. It's not just women. It's dudes as well. I mean, who did I see the other day? Oh, rest in peace. What's his name?
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds. He was like this. And it's weird. There's this acceptance of this unnatural form. Like, not even human.
But they don't look like themselves anymore. I was watching something the other day and I had to Google who the people were. And I'm like, I know who they are, but they don't look like them. No. I saw Book Club, which was Jane Fonda, Diane Keaton, Lily Tomlin, was it? And Candice Bergen. It was fantastic. I mean, they've all had a bit of something here, but they still looked like themselves.
Yeah.
It was a great movie. I digress.
I saw, was it Meg Ryan?
Oh.
Sorry
Sorry about
Not
that.
good.
No, it's the fishy lips.
How about it?
But then what do you do? If you're in that industry, right, and you've worked, and you've been working, you're not a big name like Jane Fonda or whatever. I mean, she has had work, obviously, but good work. But what do you do? Like, do you just go, no, I'm not going to buy into that, and the phone never rings? Or do you kind of go, well, those people, even like Nicole Kidman's had quite a bit of work done, and if they're all doing it, then you're like, okay, well, that's how I'm going to get work. Like,
it's like being a bodybuilder. It's like being a bodybuilder and everyone else is on steroids. And it's like, I haven't got a shit show unless I'm taking some of that stuff. So you sort of either have to join in or... And
it doesn't make it right, but hey, do you want to stand on your moral ground or earn some money? I don't know. do you want a career? I don't. It's easy to sit back and judge. It's really easy to sit back and go, or like even what we were talking about before. This is like that and that's like that. But they're probably quite happy. They're going to work. They're doing some fulfilling creative work, and they probably don't care whatsoever what Daryl and Catherine think in New Zealand.
Yeah. Which is a shame, because they should. Because what we're saying is they would benefit a lot.
So important.
But it's some of them though, they just, you're right, but I find some of them, not only do you can't recognize them, but they just lose their personalities in their faces as well. And it's just weird.
I wonder if we could have like a funeral or a memorial for the faces that are gone. Like, the people are still alive, but we could put little sticks with their old faces on.
Memorandum.
A memorandum. Oh, let's do it. Can we do it at the end of this? I reckon we should do it where we put big run, whoever it was on the show, in memorandum of their faces. But not like they still have to be alive.
Yeah, of course.
They have to be alive.
It's a little too real.
It's a memorandum of their face.
Yeah, that's gold.
Could we do a memorandum of our unhealthy bodies?
Of our unhealthy bodies?
Yeah.
I think we should.
We should.
I need to find... I was once 112k way back.
I beat you. I was 115.
Were you really?
At my heaviest.
Wow. You have done well.
Thank you, so have you. But again, I still go back, that I didn't try to lose weight. It was the byproduct of the transformation of the mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost like it shouldn't be a nutrition thing only. It's almost like a nutrition psychology. It's a psychology more than a physical thing. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is, it's like there should be more emphasis on the psychology of it, but there isn't. It's just about, look how much fat you can lose and all this sort of thing.
And and then we've segued from going, I don't like people talking about my weight. We've segued and talked about people's weight and people's faces.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Because we're horrible people.
We're horrible people.
We're horrible.
We're hypocritical, horrible people.
But I'm still... I don't know. I don't want to sound like a dick.
Have a sip of water then. I'll have a sip of water instead. Just take that moment. How do you feel? You still want to... No,
I'm fine.
Okay.
We won't carry on with that.
Shall we move on?
It's just I'm going to go
You're going to do
straight
that, okay.
into it.
Just wanted to give you that out.
No, good. You give me the out, and I'm going to go straight back.
Okay, go back.
No, I think it's just... I have big concerns about people who are cotton willing the fat shaming thing. And I'm not saying that fat shaming is a good thing. I think it's absolutely terrible. But I think there's also, it can't go too far in the other direction. I think people do need to realize that they are unhealthy, or they need to know that there is another way. Now, when I look at this, goes in industrial sense as well as a mental sense. And what I mean by that is, we as a society need to look at, right, we've got overweight people. Like I'm part Polynesian, being part Samoan, it's like I see a lot of overweight Samoans with diabetes, and they have accepted that. That is the acceptance that I don't want to accept. That is the acceptance that I don't want culture to accept. I don't want that. And I want somehow to be able to convince or educate or psychologically change the mental state of, from my experience, the Polynesian culture. But that also has to come from higher up. They've got access to foods and drinks and sugars and other
that are cheaper
things.
than anything healthy.
And that should not be around. So that's not helping the cause. And we talk about the psychology
to the sugar
of
tax?
it all. I wish that would just...
Are they going to start it?
It would be better than a petrol tax.
Yeah.
Just tax sugar, take it away from the petrol.
Yeah.
But so when I'm trying to come across as saying like I don't like the fact that people are
But you're not saying there's only one right body type. That's not what you're saying. You're talking about excess weight, which especially the visceral fat around your organs.
Yeah. The stuff that can kill you.
Yeah.
That should not be. That's
not opinion. And that's what I was trying to say before. Is I think the whole plus size thing has been great to say, hey, let's stop fat shaming for a start. Let's just, people are people, and they're valid and human, and there's all kinds of beauty, right?
Yeah.
But I think I've been reading a lot about people saying what you're saying too. That's great, but then there's health.
Yeah.
But that's a bigger problem than how we look. That's like you're saying. There's sugar's cheap.
Yeah. And it ties in with the things we were talking about as well. It's like when people come up to us and they say we look good. Thanks, but we want to be. It's a little deeper than that.
Yes.
And I think it's the same in the other direction, in that way as well, where you can say, "Oh, people are fat and they're obese and all that sort of stuff, and they're happy." But let's talk about the health side of things, and maybe
it's a different conversation. Yeah,
it's a different conversation.
Because I think you and I both approached it not from I want to be thin.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that's the point, and it's not judging anyone or telling them they're wrong or they're not healthy. Because as I said, I've got friends that are big that are way fitter than me.
Yeah.
But I think what you're talking about, is that broad thing of
yes.
Yeah.
I did a little vignette documentary thing years ago.
Vignette,
a small
put it
film.
on your salad.
Vignette for the Manukau District Health Board. That was an eye-opener. It was about diabetes, predominantly diabetes, in the Polynesians down that way, and it was like at the time I think it was 1 and 2 had type 2, maybe even more. But it was definitely half, and within X amount of years, it was going to increase even more and all that sort of stuff.
So 2 and 2.
2 and 2.
Because you can't go much further.
You can't go much further than that. But
so everyone.
2 point something. But it was. I started to learn quite a bit. I got quite into it and quite passionate about it, and I'd finished this documentary, and I was just fascinated by the numbers and all that sort of thing, and sort of my heart was in it because I'm slightly invested into it, and within 2 weeks of the completion of that, V and Red Bull released 500 ml cans of their products. And I'm like, nobody needs that much of any sugar or acid or anything like that. And it pissed me off. You know what I mean? So I wish that we would look at things like the government and businesses and all that sort of stuff would look at the moral implications of what they're doing. Yeah. With food and petrol tax, food.
And with plastics. I don't want to go down the whole plastic road, but you go to the supermarket and there's individually wrapped apples. But I'm supposed to recycle, and which I do and all that. But can we look a little higher up too?
Yeah.
But what's interesting, I think what you're saying about, that is I think that's we're coming from the same place but slightly differently, is, you're talking about health, and then a lot of people say, but how do I just can't stop eating. And that's sort of the part I'm really passionate about talking about is you can.
Yeah.
But you don't diet. It's not about dieting.
No.
It's about
lifestyle.
Yeah.
If I was to put a word on it.
Yeah, lifestyle. But also, when people go, but I don't have the willpower, I don't. There are things out there to help. There are ways of, rewiring your neural pathways, and just taking it one day at a time, not having a weight goal and an end destination.
Yeah.
And having a plan of eating that's not a diet, but you know what your triggers are, and So for you, alcohol was bad, so you stopped for 6 months, and then you were able to do it within reason, right?
Yeah.
So it's looking honestly. So like if KFC's your downfall, just don't eat it. Like, don't start. If you know that, like for me, having a chocolate biscuit, there is no way that it stops there.
Yeah.
We're talking the whole pack and I'll go out for more.
Yeah.
Drinking, I have one beer, I'll want a lot.
Yeah.
So it's being honest, being really honest and going, I can't actually control myself when I have that. So maybe don't.
Yep.
And then getting support. And there's a whole lot. I mean, that's a whole other conversation.
Yep.
But there's 12-step programs out there for people that are struggling to control their eating. There's 12-step programs for everything now. There's ways and means out there. Because, that's how diet factories stay alive, is the assumption that people will lose the weight and put it back on and come back.
Put it back on plus some.
Plus some.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why I think the diet is not the one answer to everything, because I was saying before that thin is just as bad a word as fat.
Yeah.
And I think fit is way better. And bringing in the exercise, it's just,
See, I knew what to do, but I couldn't do it before.
Same as me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a personal trainer 20 years ago.
Oh, really?
When I played rugby. Yeah. That was one of my jobs. I used to get
When
people
you were
fit.
8?
When I was 8. When I was 8.
You're a prodigy.
I'm an amazing looking 28.
You are flipping phenomenal.
But you know all that stuff. You know it all. And we all know it all. I mean, you don't have to be rocket science to say smoking doesn't kill you, but some people just can't help
But people are addicted.
But when you know what to do, for me it was just like, I need to pay somebody now to actually, give me a path, because when you know it, it's so hard, because you just start thinking too much about it and you start experimenting and it becomes all too hard and you just have a chocolate biscuit.
I was like, we start experimenting. Are we talking about Tinder, Bumble, drugs, food, working out?
No.
Chocolate biscuits.
Biscuits.
That was really where I was at, yeah. Oh. Okay. Right.
But the fitness side of things, what do? You do F45, don't you?
Well, I've started to, yeah. I jumped. What was it? You who called it a cult?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I did.
Well, the reason I did is my husband's very much like me. Like, we'll start something and go, that was dumb. And he started at the beginning of the year, and he loves it. And I was going to start it, and then I ended up in hospital with some weird thing. And so I put it off, and I had to get better. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'll give it a go to appease my husband. Absolutely loved it. We've got an amazing studio. Our trainers are phenomenal. But what I really love about it is, so all the classes have names, right? Docklands, varsity, whatever. Yep, it's a type of class, and all that is so varsity is 20 seconds on, 5 seconds off, 20 seconds off. But the actual exercises each time change.
Yeah.
And so for me, because I get bored really easily, it's different every time. The other thing is we're moving around different stations, so it's just you and one other person or you by yourself. So you're not doing the same thing with other people. You're doing your own you're very much in your own zone, working out with someone else.
Yeah.
So there's no comparison. And it's different every time, and I don't have to think about it. I rock up, they tell me what to do, I do it, I'm done. 45 minutes later, I go.
It's good, eh?
It's really good, and I find the reason I stuck with it is it changed my mental state for the rest of the day.
Yes.
I felt human. I felt a little bit hopeful.
What time do you normally go?
If Julian's home, he goes at 5:15 and I go at 6:50 in the morning. We swap over with the kids because the kids are asleep. Yep. If he's away, I go 9:30. That kind of takes up a bit of the day, so I like doing the morning one. I've done a couple of evening ones, which are great. My body's awake.
Yep.
But it's like, I need to get it done.
Yeah.
It's like, do I really want to go?
For me, it's like that risk of I'll just go in the afternoon. But then
something else
you just don't just go. Yeah. You get it done, you get it out of the way, it's done. You don't have to think about it.
Yeah. So I think it's just, and I've heard this said before, find something that you like.
Yeah.
And the payoff for me, I honestly didn't go into it again for the weight. I wanted to get stronger and fitter. And so they do this thing called the playoffs. And so you do 10 different exercises. How many can you do in that amount of time? So after 8 weeks, like all of that improved. I could do, so I was stronger and fitter. And then to be honest, going on the trampoline with my kids for 15 minutes, which I could never do before. It's really hard work.
Yeah.
Was like such a bonus.
Yeah.
And yes, my body shape has changed.
Yeah.
But again, that wasn't the impetus to do it, which means I'll keep going.
Yes.
And some weeks I go a lot, some weeks I don't if I'm tired. And but again, find something you love, like because you do more weightlifting, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you love that.
I do love that. I was in, speaking of cults, I did the CrossFit thing for a while.
Oh, the granddaddy
cool.
cult. Yeah.
The granddaddy cult. And
we're the little grandchild cult.
yeah, it's a real.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard it explained the way that you do it. So it seems like it's a much more individualized. And what I mean by that is you're in your own zone, as opposed to CrossFit. With CrossFit, it can be very competitive. People say it doesn't have to be competitive. You can do it for yourself. But when you're doing the same thing as everybody else, it's competitive.
Oh, I have to say though, I've watched 3 guys ahead of me, all different fitnesses on their station. 2 of them are really fit and one of them isn't. He's trying to do the same thing as the other guys.
Oh, really?
There is a bit of male competition.
Yeah.
But on the whole, you're so in your zone. You're so in your zone. And you're only with one other person.
Right.
Yep. Carry on. Sorry, interrupt.
But in the CrossFit thing, it was you'd have half a dozen to a dozen people all doing the same workouts, all just throwing things around. And you feel like a man / really masculine woman. And it's really full on. And
do you know women can be really strong too without being masculine?
Oh, no, true. I know that. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing around. I'm teasing with you. I'm
only joking. Sorry, Kira.
But
it's like tractor tires and stuff, right?
Yeah, the tractor tire flipping and all that sort of stuff. And but you're doing exercises that you shouldn't be doing fast. So you're doing things like clean and jerk, snatches, a lot of kettlebell work, things that should be done at a slower pace, more focused and more controlled. But because of the competitive element of it,
right?
They say, "Oh, you don't have to put as much weight on," but then you just don't feel like you're pushing yourself, so you start doing it. And I used to always get injured doing it.
Oh, really?
That was the real reason why I just sort of stopped doing it, because I just found I was getting hurt.
Yeah.
And when you get to
so that shouldn't
40,
be happening, eh?
That should not be happening, and you don't want it to happen. And I know the techniques, and I know all that, and you have it drilled in. But it's just that
an
one
energy,
little tweak.
If everyone's doing it like that, you kind of pick up on that energy and you start doing it. It's hard to then go, it's like if fast music's on, it's really hard to go, I'm just going to go slow and controlled.
Yeah.
Just pick up on that energy. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you stopped and then went to like just a regular gym?
Yeah, so I got a regular gym and they had CrossFit. So I was doing that and I got a couple of injuries, upper thoracic spine, elbows, all sorts of stuff. And these are all things that just came from bad technique, and that made me think, right, I got to change. So I was getting osteo and all that sort of stuff on it. And then I just thought, I enjoy the lifting side of it. Mm-hmm. I don't so much enjoy the full-on competitive, that side of it. So I like being in my own little zone, put on my noise-cancelling headphones so I don't have to listen to any gym music.
Or grunting.
The thing is, I can't hear other people grunt, but I grunt.
You're a grunter.
I grunt more now. And I just do the traditional old, lifting, bench pressing and arm curling and all that sort of stuff. And I really, really enjoy that, and it's fun.
How often do you do it?
Every day.
7 or 6?
6.
Yeah.
6. Sometimes I go in twice. So I'll do cardio in the mornings.
Yeah.
And do half an hour of that. Well, something I find really beneficial now, especially as age kicks in, doing half an hour of cardio, say about 120, 130 beats per minute on the old heart. And then I do about half an hour of yoga type stuff. Mm-hmm. So just movement, stretching and all that. And then that's a really great way to start the day. And then at the end of the day, I'll go back in and I'll do some heavy lifting. Yeah. Or maybe I'll do heavy lifting after I've done that. It depends on what my day schedule's like. But just
so you found your jam, really, haven't you?
I found my jam.
You found your jam.
I'm keen to try other stuff though. Like everyone I've spoken to about F45 raves about it.
Yeah.
So I'm quite keen to give that a go, because I like the control stuff as well. Someone's telling you what to do.
Yeah.
You've got a set program. Sweet. Don't have to think, and you just do it. Especially in the mornings, because you just don't want to think too much in the mornings.
You can't. You're not even there.
No.
Not even slightly.
So doing something like that looks appealing, but it's not cheap.
No.
It's not cheap.
No.
And that's certainly a factor that you got to think about. But
especially if you enjoy the lifting side of it, you'd probably still want to be keeping that gym membership, because it's so 3 Monday, Wednesday, Friday tend to be quite cardio based, fat burning, and then the Tuesday and Thursday are more resistance.
Yeah.
So if you're really enjoying building up and doing the weights, it can be done, of course, but you'd probably not want to drop that. So then you'd have like the 2 gym memberships, and that
would be good.
You need to start a franchise so you can just go whenever you want.
I don't know. There's a CrossFit gym up the road. I might go back to it with the mentality that I'm not going to hurt myself. I don't know.
Pace.
I need to put more selfies up online, I think, with my progress reports.
And your Speedos. And your little gold Speedos.
I did that once. I put a picture up. It was it was terrible. It was a before photo. Yeah. I thought, well, this is the beginning of that 6-month thing I was telling you about. I put a picture up and I wasn't thinking. And I had these ridiculous red undies on. And man, I never heard the end of that. That was bad. It was so bad. And I had the bit of a gut, and I was just out of shape, and I was just like, what was
Did
I
you
thinking?
put that up without the after, just the before?
I just put up the before.
That's bold.
Yeah, man.
That's bold.
Go hard, get in there.
Yeah.
The world needs to see.
They do. I wake up every morning going, oh, hang on, it's Daryl's in. No, he hasn't put another one.
Put another one up. I'm pretty slack, really. I'm not one of those. You know, some people do it every day. I'm just not that.
Do what?
Put up pictures of themselves always in their undies. But they
Here's
do.
me today.
Every week. Here's my undies.
Everyone wants to be a Kardashian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, no.
It's not for you.
Not my style.
You're too busy at the gym.
I'm too busy at the gym. I do like sharing progress, though, in terms of what I'm trying dietary. Diet-wise and all that sort of stuff. And I'm experimenting a little bit at the moment. I was doing the carnivore diet. I did that I did a 95% carnivore diet because, I don't know, I was too much of a pussy. I still wanted to get a bit of macronutrients from vegetables and stuff in there somehow. So I'd have a smoothie.
You need veggies.
You do.
You do.
I think that's something I enjoyed. I definitely react well to meat.
Right, yeah.
So
my husband's like, he doesn't
not
eat
gonna
it,
go away.
whereas I'd happily not eat it.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
That's not going away for me. But I need the benefits of having things like the oils, especially the olive oils and all that sort of stuff. You just can't replace that with anything else that the meat wheel can provide.
No.
So I'm back on a more balanced diet. And my vegan friends are going, dick. What an egg.
But we're all kind of suited to different things. Like, like I don't do well on really, really no carbs. I'm feral. I'm like hangry girl. So I just choose carbs well, but I'm horrible if I'm off them. Whereas my husband's great. Deals with it really well. Yeah, you love big plates of dead animals, and your friends probably like lentils.
They do.
So
working in this industry, I tell you, everyone's just vegan of some description.
Oh, really?
Oh, it is, yeah. I shouldn't say everyone. That's a big brushstroke. But
it's popular at the moment.
It's very popular.
Yeah, so it's good for the environment.
It is good for the environment. But
it's a lot of work to get I think, my little trying. I haven't been vegan, but trying vegan foods. I had to actually be organised. Mind you, now cafes and stuff have everything now. Really,
especially up here, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even in Tauranga. We've got great. There's a couple of places that have really beautiful. Like there's one next to the gym that does these cool grinds, and it has these peanut butter cups, and they're dairy-free, gluten-free, refined sugar-free, made with coconut, chocolate, and peanut. They're like Reese's.
Yeah.
But they are the best healthy thing I've ever had.
Really?
It's like fudge, but with peanut butter.
I like those bliss bally type things.
Oh,
similar.
No, I'm going to bring you one of these peanut butter things next time.
You should.
They're beyond.
I'm always looking for a healthy option because at the moment, where did I go the other day? We went to my brother took me to a vegan cafe in Newmarket the other day. Name escapes me. And, they have a vegan version of cheesecake, this and that and the other thing. It was a cheat day. I was having something a little bit sweet. It just doesn't taste as good. There's something missing. When things are sweetened with stevia and whatever, or it's all like almond-based, anyway, nah. And it all tastes the same. Everything either tastes like turmeric or everything either tastes like coconut.
What is it with turmeric? And is it turmeric or turmeric? Or is that potato?
Turmeric sounds like a numbering system. Turmeric. It's good for you, though.
So good.
So good. Good for the anti-inflammatories. I want to go back to the entertainment world.
So do I. I'm trying.
We want to get back into it. What were like you said that you studied to be actress more than anything.
An actress, yeah.
Right. So why? What were your influences when you were younger and that sort of thing?
Showing off.
Just showing off.
I think showing off. No, I was obsessed with the movies from the 1930s and 40s.
I can relate to that.
I just loved them. I've just been reading some amazing books, I'll tell you after, but really great books through that period.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think I was the kid who was 7 in the school play who had the lead and was concerned I may not have had enough lines. I was the only one with lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't very shy. It took me a really, really long time, probably after I stopped drinking, to realise that I am quite shy.
Yeah.
Not shy, but it's an act. And Julian calls it doing the Catherine. You can do what we're doing now, but I'm not necessarily like that all the time or going into I'm really great with creatives. Normal people, not so. I find it quite daunting.
Yeah.
Do you find that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like I'm either too much or not enough. I'm working on that.
Yeah, and when you're too much, they start going...
It's fun for a moment.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're so funny.
You're a novelty actor now. It's just like, can we? No?
Yeah, no, don't invite her back.
Yeah.
So it was just, I always wanted to do that. And of course, I happy it's not a real job or, whatever.
Yeah.
But there was nothing else I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'd applied for to do science, marine biology, and then I looked at the first year papers and it was like amoeba and plankton. I won't get through that. I just wanted to swim with dolphins. And like literally me and Flipper.
Yeah.
And so when I'd finished travelling around, I was like, well, this is what I want to do. Oh, there's drama schools over there. Oh, I don't want to live in Auckland right now. Oh, why don't I go and apply? And I auditioned and got in. And
Which drama school did you go to?
Well, I did 1 year of some diploma. I don't actually remember where it was. And then I auditioned for one at Nepean, was the University of Western Sydney.
Right.
And it was a 3-year course, similar to NIDA, but not as prestigious. Nowhere near. I wouldn't have gone into NIDA. I wasn't an actor enough. And so I think 1,500 people audition and they take 16. So it was still some, at the end of the day when I got in, there was still something in me where, okay, so I've got a shot. Like I'm not dreaming here.
No.
But I was, because it was the University of Western Sydney, not NIDA.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I did all the stuff I did. And then, and it took me ages to realise, 3 years ago, I kind of realised, I've always knew I didn't really love drama.
Yeah.
I would do it if I got hired. But I didn't want to do drama. I was really good at comedy, and I was really good at characters and silly stuff, like really silly stuff. I didn't have a lot of vanity. So like my favourite things in the Go Show were the little stories we did where you were being all silly, and I had vanity in that I always looked at myself and went, I was hard on myself.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that vanity of wanting to be the pretty main lead. I was always the character.
Yeah.
In the plays at school, I was always drunk Aunt Carney from Connemara, or Isabella Baird, I was those, not the serious main one. And so I applied. Have you heard of the Second City in Chicago?
No.
So it's a lot of Saturday Night Live people have come from the Second City, or groundlings, or
actually I have heard of that.
Yeah.
Bill Murray and that was alumni from there, I think.
Yeah, like Stephen Colbert and Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, and it's been around for like 50 years. And just one day 3 years ago, I said to my husband, "Oh, they have a training school. I'm going to apply for a scholarship." And it was like the routine day to day of school runs. Love my kids, but I needed some creative. He's like, okay. Yep. So I applied and I got a scholarship. So I went over and I studied for 3 weeks. Yeah, and I did improv comedy and comedy writing.
That's awesome.
I loved it. It was so. I remember crying to the tutor because I'm like, there's nothing at home like this, because Chicago's just improv comedy. There's like all these improv clubs. Oh, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then Lollapalooza. And I just remember being so sad, and I realised, no, that's actually, although I can do the other stuff too, I really like that. I really like, if I'm speaking somewhere or doing something, I don't like to actually be particularly prepared. I work better if I'm off the cuff. And again, I love that collaborative of improv. Yeah. I wouldn't want to do stand-up comedy, but I love the improv. And so that was so much fun. And so it's sort of taken that long to find like that, nothing here, but that niche of like, actually that's my sweet zone. I can do the other stuff, and I love presenting, and I love normal acting as well, but I like making a controlled fool of myself, or I like the danger element of improv, but it's and I've done radio and stuff and writing and stuff, and people are like, well, why don't you train to do something else now? And I'm like, because there's nothing else that really interests me enough that would warrant going and doing it. And that's kind of all I've done. I looked at my CV. Other than 3 years flying, I think I worked 5 months in an office. My whole career's been other stuff. So
it's weird they're trying to explain that to, because I come from a farming background. Trying to explain that to farming family. Oh, by the way, I'm going to go work in movies. By the way, I'm going to do this. I'm a voice actor. And they're just like, a what? Huh? But it's not. But the cool thing is, even though they in the beginning, there's all a little bit of, what's he doing? As soon as they start seeing results, like they hear my voice and they recognize it, and then there becomes a game. What ads Daryl doing now, and all this, or occasionally I'll pop up on something like Shortland Street or some commercial, and it's exciting for them. They love it, and I never realized that until, and now it's completely accepted. But
it was probably more concern for you, like how you're going to make a living doing that. And I think, that was from my parents. My dad was like, oh, should you do something else? But then he paid for me to go to drama school, So it was more that concern of, can you make a living from this? I don't know, can you make a living?
I don't know, apparently you can. One day we will. One day we will.
I think I can.
See, my dad was good. My dad was very supportive of the whole thing, of whatever I wanted to do. Dad was supportive. Mum, a little different. But, no. It's funny coming from that sort of background and then trying to pop into it. But I know what you mean by the collaborative comedy stuff.
Yeah.
You know, have you done stand-up comedy? You ever tried it?
No, I don't. No desire.
I did it once.
And?
Oh God, it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was wow. It's
very different.
You do it once, and that one, it's very different. I do a lot of MC work and a lot of MC weddings and MC events and all that sort of stuff. MC Hammer. Mm-hmm. But you do that stuff, and you're just the guy who's tying it together, and you're throwing some funny jokes, and it's great, and everyone loves you.
Yeah.
When you're on stage doing comedy, make me laugh.
Yeah.
You have to be funny, and the pressure of that is just holy. It was just another level.
And if you're not a really well-known person, they're not rooting for you.
No, not at all. They want to see you fail.
They're waiting for the heckle moment.
Oh yeah. I'm going to time the sun now. I'm going to make them.
But see, people like Robin Williams, I've just read his biography. Like he lived for that.
Yes.
Lived for that, and it gave him a buzz and a thrill. But I like, and didn't. One of the people he worked with in improv said it wasn't really improv. Robin was just doing Robin.
Yeah.
So he was wired to do that one thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, I like this. I don't think I'd want to sit down and do a solo podcast necessarily, or all the radio stuff's tandems, or because it's a different vibe. Someone say something, you bounce, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You think about something, someone brings something up, makes you think about something else, and you just go off on that. Otherwise, it's just going to be a very small pamphlet of information. And thanks for coming by.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Instead of this epic novel we're writing right now.
It's just the War and Peace of podcasts.
But what were your even you may not have gone down the same direction as these people, but who are your influences? Who are the people that when you were a little girl?
Oh,
who did you want to be?
I wanted to be a 1940s movie star. I wanted to be Joan Crawford or Katharine Hepburn or Carol Lombard without the airplane crash. Or, I loved them. I loved the glamour and the whole thing. But probably my comedic influences, there's all the obviouses, Tina Fey, but I love Will Ferrell. I love Saturday Night Live. I love old Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Someone asked me this once, and I gave all the obvious answers, and then I went away later and thought about all the other people.
Yeah.
That I'm like, oh no, but I love Steve Carell.
Yeah.
Some really random Saturday Night Live stuff. What's her name? Oh, I've totally gone blank. Bridesmaids.
Yep.
And not Kristen Wiig, the other one, Maya Rudolph, the one who was getting married.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But like Lucille Ball, you watch her stuff, she is actually phenomenal. So that physical comedy, she shouldn't have the vanity of needing to be, beautiful all the time. She'd do the shtick.
Yeah.
I like a bit of shtick. I loved American sitcoms growing up. I loved the ba-dum-bumch, I love subtle humor as well.
Yeah.
I love the slapstick and the overt. And that was fun on the Go Show. A lot of the kids stuff was do that.
Yeah.
Do that silly, not real silly, like, Chaplin falling over silly. But the larger than life characters were fun. So just the silly stuff is good.
Yeah.
Life's so serious.
I was kind of similar. My big influences were movies like The Sound of Music, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
You like musicals?
I love musicals.
Do you sing?
I like to think I can.
Do you in public?
I'll sing in public.
Yep.
I have no
You're a bit
problem
of a singer?
with it. I'm a bit of a singer. I used to do a lot of choral singing and stuff when I was younger.
Oh.
And I can confidently do a bit of karaoke, but I've never pursued.
What's your karaoke go-to?
Anything by Tom Jones. Bit of Frank Sinatra.
Oh, smooth. You like the classics?
Smooth, I do. I like the classics, hence the microphones.
So with The Sound of Music, who did you want to be?
Ralph. No, I wanted to be Christopher Plummer. I wanted to be Old Man Von Trapp. He was like...
Did he sing?
He sang Edelweiss.
Oh, was that? Oh, he's like...
Yeah. No, did he sing? Well, actually, Christopher Plummer didn't sing that.
No.
And when I found out he didn't sing that, I was heartbroken.
I
was like, what? What? Someone else sung the songs?
And Santa's not real.
Santa... What? Sorry, what?
That's unfortunate when you play Santa, isn't it? You may have known.
Look, I made him real in my life because I'm totally method.
Yeah, totally.
But no, Christopher, I like the old traditional masculine characters. People like Steve McQueen, Great Escape.
We drove down that street recently.
Which one?
Is it the Great Escape where they go down San Francisco in the car?
No.
What one's that?
Is that Bullet?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Bullet. Yeah.
I went down that street.
No, Great Escape was the World War II one, and he's on the motorbike.
Oh, okay.
And he escapes from the Nazis.
This.
The Nazis. But
I see a theme, Sound of Music.
Nazis. Yeah. Just started watching Man in the High Castle. Oh, I love a good... have you seen that?
No.
It's brilliant. Great idea for a show. It's on Amazon, so not a lot of New Zealanders can see it.
Right.
Well, not we can all see it, but it's just hard. It's the story of alternate universe. We lost World War II, and America's been divided into three. The West Coast is Japanese.
The Republicans, the Democrats, and the Liberals. No.
We wish. No. That's
not.
That's another time.
That's too long.
So the West Coast is Japanese. The East Coast is German, and there's a Rhineland in the middle. There's a no man's land in the middle. But it's just this. Yeah, it's just what if we lost and this happened, and the Japanese were afraid of the Germans. The Germans want to take out the Japanese. Meanwhile, Americans are in the middle, having their own little conflicts, trying to beat them both. It's really, really, really good. I found it really good anyway. But
what's it called?
Man in the High Castle.
I shall look it up.
That's very good. But no,
so you liked those male archetype characters. So did you like them going back as far as like Gary Cooper and John Wayne, or more like the 60s onwards?
Not so much the John Wayne. I like John Wayne. I like musicals, but
okay, he wasn't in musicals.
I can't relate to cowboys.
Saying, yeah. No,
and he wasn't in musicals.
Yeah, so he wasn't in a musical. It's no good. So Gene Kelly.
Good. Oh, I love Gene Kelly.
You like Gene Kelly?
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin.
Yeah. Those guys are just like
song and dance men.
Witty. Yeah.
They spoke better. They had just one-liners, so good.
I found that when you learn a little about the old Hollywood back in those days, they had a lot of restrictions when it came to storylines and language they could use and all that sort of stuff. Kind of like the way we're heading down now.
Only after the 1930s, pre-code.
Yeah.
No holds barred.
No holds barred. Yeah. And then pretty much from the 70s onwards, it went crazy again as well.
Yeah, once the studios dissipated in the 60s, the sort of independent producers could do what they wanted their name.
Yeah. But something I liked about it was the language there was a lot of innuendo.
Oh, yeah.
In the way they spoke. Yep. And even I'm trying to think of the character. The women in those movies were so strong.
Yeah.
And like feminine, and they were a challenge for the males. You know what I mean?
Well, until the end of the studio system, a large proportion of the writers were women.
Right.
Like it hasn't been, it's kind of got lost somewhere, but a large proportion of the writers were women. The second in command at MGM was a woman.
Yeah.
And a few of the producers like Selznick and Thalberg really preferred working with women. And so they had women, there were a lot of women directors, but a lot of the scenarists were women. And so they were writing, like Frances Marion and Adela Rogers St. John's. They were, and Anita Loos were writing really great female characters, and then the code happened. But really witty and sassy, and and then something happened. And the 60s happened.
It's almost kind of weird. I don't know.
And those, I think that's why I like those characters. Like they were strong women. They were women. Like Joan Crawford.
Yeah.
And don't go near Mummy Dearest. It was a facade. It was a farce. I mean, but her characters were all like, she had the best lines, but she was glamorous and strong and it was subtle, and there was it was they weren't one dimensional.
No.
It was great. And I think that maybe that's what you liked about the men too, because they were masculine men who could also sing and dance. Whereas we do tend to see Thor.
Yeah.
And that's slap you in the face, I'm a masculine man now, rather than the subtle, Frank Sinatra kind of smooth, but a man. They were men.
Yeah.
But without it being that kind of almost farcical Marvel comic version of a man.
Or Justin Bieber. So just many men. What happened?
Many men.
Why am I saying that? Beautiful woman.
But when we're young, it's what we aspire to.
Yeah.
I think rather than, what we're looking up to is what we aspire to rather than what we fancy.
Yeah, exactly.
And I still think the majority of people go to movies. Like, why are men the biggest, let's go to this new Marvel movie? There's no women in it. I mean, they're starting to now, but they're going to look. But it's predominantly Thor, right? With the big guy. So I think there's still that thing of, wanting to see other men and not in a sexualized, fancy them way.
Well, I mean, it's you watch it and it's like comic book characters, and who mostly reads comic books? Dudes. And it's like, right, they see, yeah, you're right, they see something they aspire to be, no matter how ridiculous it is. And in the old traditional comic books as well, the way they used to read was like Superman was the big Blue Scout, the big Blue Boy Scout.
Yes.
And he was like the model of truth and justice in the American way, but he was just all that was good. You know what I mean? And that was
it's an archetype,
it's
really,
an
isn't
archetype,
it?
and that is something that men and boys should look up to and aspire to be. But now they're just turning it into a bit more. All these characters have to have an element of something. What's the word? Social justice-y or something along those lines. Just thrown in, but it feels like it's like, I think it's great that you write that stuff into the stories and all that sort of stuff, but you just can't shoehorn it in and think it's not going to get noticed. Because it's just like, you just like changing the ethnicity of characters or changing the sex of characters and that sort of stuff. When I'm hearing a lot of like rumors going around that they want to change, they want to do a lot of changes to different characters in that vein, and I'm like, why? Why don't you create new characters to relate to? Why take away or change something just for? Because it's obvious that you're doing it just for the sake of, some sort of political statement or something along those lines. Just create something
new characters.
When Black Panther came out, right, 100% African, everything was African, and I was like, man, I'm into this. This is great. And I wanted to learn about this Wakanda, this made-up place, and
say it again.
Look at Wakanda.
Again.
Wakanda.
It's just a way. It's like Gorgonzola. It's just a good word to say.
Wakanda. It's true.
Gorgonzola.
But it was awesome, and you just got into this, and now they want to take things that already exist and change them around. It's like, well,
just make more diverse movies.
Yeah.
We saw Crazy Rich Asians.
Is it good?
It's great. I loved it.
I wanted to see it.
I loved it. But they didn't. It was specific to that story of a wealthy family in Singapore. They didn't go, let's make this story about this here and just change the ethnicity. But I think there could be more diversity in a lot of other stuff, for sure. But when you're talking about those big, like Superman was a character.
Yeah.
So kind of do Superman. But then if you look, there's probably other smaller characters that you could beef up. Maybe they were smaller at the time, but there's so many other characters.
The comic book world's riddled with them.
Yeah.
There's different ethnicities and different everything.
So is what you're saying, it needs to be addressed and changed, but not that way.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's other ways.
Yes, there is other ways. I think you're going to alienate, you're going to create a divide in a different way. If you start changing, let's just say it for what it is. If you take Superman and you make him a African-American character, you're going to alienate, some people are going to be miffed by that. So what I'm saying is, rather than doing that, and I think something that's way more constructive, is to create stronger, better African-American based characters. And it's the same with women. They wanted to make James Bond into a female at one stage. Why would you do that? No one would go. A lot of people would go and watch it, but it wouldn't be as. It's not James Bond. Come up with a new character.
Why can't there be?
Yeah, Jane Bond or something.
Yeah, one thing I watched an Angelina Jolie film. I can't remember which one it was, even though I had issues with her.
Salt?
Yeah, it was where they'd written it for a male.
Right.
And they cast her.
Right.
So it lost all the stereotypes of what if it had been written for a woman.
Yeah.
And it was great. So, But Hollywood's very, it's all about the money. So they're only doing what they know has worked a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's the bottom line. So that film made a lot of money. Let's make 5 more in the same franchise.
Yeah.
Not as keen to experiment. And again, it comes full circle down to what we're talking about is nowadays people can create their own stuff, put it online.
Yeah, exactly.
There's other options, which is pretty cool. Can you hear dinging?
Can.
Does that mean shut up? You've talked too much?
I don't think so. Just means this means Auckland's never finished and they're just going to keep on building.
Do you hear that at the end of the day? It's like the dinging starts. Time to stop talking, Catherine. My husband sometimes he's like, too many words. Too many words.
Is it nice to have somebody in your life who sort of not puts you in your place in a negative way, but just goes,
calls you on
just that'll do. No BS.
I think it's his self-preservation. It's either that or he's going to go fetal. But what he doesn't understand is he's been away for 4 days. This is a long-haul flight attendant. He's been away for 4 days. And it's different now the kids are older. But when they were little, I hadn't spoken to an adult in 4 days. So he gets...
Right.
I've been saving them. He gets home, all those words I've saved for him.
Yeah. Here you go.
It's a gift.
You're not going to talk for the next 3 days.
Because I'm going to.
Yeah.
I have to stick. No, but it was really funny. We are our sense of humour is a bit off. Not like
as in different,
not like sick or dirty. No, we're just
together.
Yeah. We what we find funny. Other people sometimes look at us and are going, "Are you being rude to each other?" Like not put downs, but just we get each other.
Yeah.
And I love that. You know, he's absolutely my best mate because we have the most fun.
That's cool.
So it probably helps either way. 80% of the time, we don't get bored of each other.
True.
Like, you know, we really enjoy. We don't take each other for granted.
Yeah.
But I love it when we go on trips, just the two of us, and we don't talk heaps necessarily, but we have a good life. We just went to the States, and for some reason I started saying, and this won't be funny, it was one of those things that was really funny to us, but no one else will think funny even slightly.
Yeah.
I was reading a street sign, and I don't know why it was Italian, say it was Gorgonzola, and I said it like, oh, it's Gorgonzola, and for some reason he found this hilarious, and we drove the whole way down the coast, every sign that ended in an A, we'd be like, and we're thinking we're hilarious. We didn't share that with anyone because we understood there was a limit to it.
Yeah.
But that's at least we've got the same sense of humour.
Yeah.
And I think that saw us through a lot of the hard stuff, is being able to laugh. My mum has passed, but she had a very dark sense of humour. Like she was a lady. She was very graceful. She was very, classic's not the right word, was it? Classy?
Yeah.
She had the darkest sense of humour of anyone I know. And so he's got that. And I've got that. So it's really good.
Nice.
And we're passing it on to our kids.
That's good.
Yeah.
Very good. No, I always like that when I hear... you hear more about the breakups and the bad things that happen in certain relationships and the negative side of things, but it's just so lovely to hear positive. You know, I understanding not everything's great all the time, but predominantly you base your descriptions on a very positive thing, and I think it's brilliant.
And we made a choice early on. You know, we'd heard other people make jokes about their husband, you know, because, you know, haha, or jokes about their wives.
The old ball and chain.
The old ball and chain. And we're both like, okay, we're not ever going to do that. No. I don't care if we're having a bad day.
Yeah. You're a team.
We're going to do that, yeah. Like, I chose to marry you, and 13 years later, I'd choose to again. Yeah. And we just, why? It just didn't make sense to. If you really got a problem, find someone to talk about it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of just perpetuating that negative, and people do it about their kids a lot too. You're like, oh, the kids, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not saying you walk around going, my husband's the most amazing person and he's my sunshine. So we're not like that. Or my kids are angels. It's not that, but it's that real negative kind of humour put down. It just kind of does. I think it creates something a little.
It's a seed, I think,
it is.
And it grows. Yep. I think a lot of people, maybe I don't know if it's a cultural thing or whatever, but we just seem to. It's easy to be negative about things.
It's a Kiwi thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Americans and Australians aren't so much like that. British and us can be.
Yes.
So we're British. We come from the British stock.
Yeah.
But it's a seed, and you know, I've always there's a lot of power in our words. You know what we're saying. You know, other people. You know, it's what you're putting out to the universe or whatever it is. But you know, again, it doesn't have to be all mushy. Oh, you know, he's the most amazing. I love him. I'm going to post a million posts about how much I love him and how good he is. It's not that. It's just that general. How am I going to talk about my husband? Because would I want him talking about me to his friends about the old ball and you're going to be? I feel terrible. I like as much as it's funny. I think to be funny, it has to be funny, and it's not funny. Yeah,
it's all about you create a team and you don't want the other side to see you bleed.
No,
you know what I mean. No. You just want. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
Like
I've got some other friends like that, and they have just the best relationship, and they've gone through hard times, and they've. You know, almost gone through divorce and hard times, but they've always brought it back together again. Yeah. And when we hang out as a group, we've often had big nights at their place, and you'd end up like crashing out on the couch or anything like that. And me and my friends would be just on the couch, just passed out, and then you just hear these two up in their room laughing hysterically for about half an hour before they go to sleep. Yeah. And all of us
They were laughing at you, you know that, eh? They were laughing at you guys.
Yeah. And that's fine. If we're the butt of their jokes and it makes them happy, that's great.
You know what they did.
Yeah. But it's kind of cool. And it's
nice,
me and my mates would be like, oh, I just want to be like them. I want to meet someone and be like that. Yeah. You know?
So to have that, you got to make choices.
Yeah.
And it's what we're saying is you don't say the old ball and chain or, oh, he's away, I don't have to put up with his stuff. Or I love him coming home. And he's great, you know? So yeah, I think, you know, it's those little choices along the way, and it's not all sunshine roses and stuff, but But you don't have to harp on about it.
But you can certainly get through the sunshine. You can certainly get through the bad times easier if you've got a foundation of positivity.
You do.
Yep.
And that's everything in life, eh?
Absolutely.
And that's hard to find some days, but...
It's just, the world's a bit funny at the moment, eh? Everything's just a little bit... It's easier to jump on X bandwagon and call something you don't agree with.
We're all very angry, aren't we?
All very angry.
We're all keyboard warrior angry. I've got to have an opinion on every single thing.
Yep.
And have a very reactive opinion on every single thing.
Yeah.
You know,
And
we're going to agree to disagree.
Exactly. And I think it's good to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Converse, talk about things. Yeah. You know, not everything that people say is going to be the same. You're going to be left, you're going to be right, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. But they need each other.
Yeah.
You know, those opposites need each other, and they need to be able to talk to each other to try and come to some sort of common ground. But at the moment, no. I'm there.
Yeah.
And never the twain shall meet.
And it almost feels like people are looking for the glitch, like, you know, they'll listen or watch something waiting for the slip up.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm going to jump on that.
And no matter how out of context it is, it's still wrong.
Yeah. Or I'm going to... but no one's right, unless it's science or whatever. And science isn't always right. You know, they keep finding things different than what they found 20 years ago.
And that's what's the good thing about science is there to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But proven wrong as in like, well, you might want to rethink that. And if we
we've got some new technology and try that. And so for example, us talking now, this is this moment in this conversation in this moment of time.
Yes.
We couldn't have had this conversation a year ago.
No.
We would have been saying very different things.
We would have been saying very different things.
So
and in a year from now, if we do this again, because I might get some regularity going
That'd be good, because I haven't got much else on. I mean, no, I'd love to. That'd be great. Thank you. No.
No. Thanks. But it's the way we talk's different, and even this formatally for me, it's quite different, and I just find that I'm learning all the time, you know, ways to express and ways to talk, and we always are, and it's cool, loving it.
And then it stays, though. That's the thing now. It stays.
Yeah.
You know, and in a year, someone could listen to this and go, "Oh, I disagree with that," and probably have us up about it. But
I encourage that.
But we might be like, "Wait, we disagree with X, Y, Z as well."
Yeah.
There's no conversation. It's an interesting thing, but just people are so quick to just angry, react.
Yeah.
And some things need reaction.
Yep.
Some things don't.
No.
I see a lot of stuff online that I'm like, dumb, but I don't need gonna go into my life. Don't need to.
No. A lot of virtual signaling going on out there. I think people virtue signaling. They want to be seen as virtuous, so they will just blah, 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 or they will think they're defending something they don't know anything about, because you know it's just something for them to get behind and all that sort of stuff, because we've got it pretty good. Life's pretty great.
Yeah.
Really, we're living a lot longer than we ever have been. We make more money than we ever have.
Spending more money than we ever have. Thank you, petrol taxes. But anyhow,
$2.45.
I know. I just said to Dad, because we live near the Gull in Hewlett's Road, which I think is the cheapest in the country.
Yep.
Sometimes it's $1.91 on Thursday. Some Thursdays.
Wow.
And so we're driving from the airport today. I'm like, like I feel palpitations. $2.34.
It's nuts.
It's crazy.
Now I thought this was just an Auckland tax, but this is all over the place, isn't it?
No, Auckland tax, there's an 11, I think it's an 11 cent Auckland tax or something like that.
That's just here,
It's
isn't
just
it?
Auckland. Like when I was driving home last time, Dad's like, make sure you wait to Hampton Downs to fill up.
Right.
But I think ACC wants to put on another tax across the country or something. I don't know exactly, but I think there's going up everywhere. Taxes everywhere, so.
Wicked. Well, we've got to pay for that free education that they're giving to the first years, among other things. Anyway, long story.
Right. Shall we have a sip?
Shall we? Well, Catherine, I think we're going to wrap it up there.
Yes.
This has been tremendous fun. And
Thank you
as I thought it was
on.
No problem. And as I thought, this has been a very free-flowing conversation. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we've covered such topics I did not think we would, which was interesting and good. And now we know we both like old movies.
We do.
We can compare books.
We can compare. I'll do a bit more research next time. Yeah, bring the book. I got some books as well. We can.
And we need to do them in memoriam of the faces.
That's actually a really good idea.
I like it.
I wonder how insensitive people get offended by that. They totally would.
They totally would.
Great.
So it's your show, so if they're offended at you.
Which is fine.
You're okay with that?
I'll totally take that.
You're so much thicker skin than me.
I would just...
Even that was my idea.
Chuck it at me.
Okay, you got it. Thanks, Daryl.
Wicked. Thank you very much.
That'd be awesome.